Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What is the deal, Panther fans? It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. They call me the Professor, and each week I hang out with my homeboys, Cody Lashney, to my right or to the left, whatever way I'm looking. He's my wheel man. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Tony Dunn, I'm doing good. I may or may not have to get a tooth pulled tomorrow morning. But whatever, dude, such is life, you know? The Panthers released a bombshell of a news statement today, something that we have all been asking for. Man, it came out of nowhere. I think we all kind of didn't think that any kind of uniform changes would be happening. But lo and behold, man, here we are. We've got 5 good questions that are surrounding this team that we're going to answer tonight. But Tony Dunn, you already know that we're going to do it with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube. You already know them and love them. It's Anthony Price, Blake Bredis, the Grim Reaper, Hector Macho Camacho, Jeremy Clancy, Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, Lynn Leonhardt, Tar Heel Eel, White Chocolate Espresso, Why Big Jordan, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Yeah, we got a fantastic show for you tonight. We are going to be talking. We're going to start the show off with the new helmets and the dark side video and all of that. So don't worry. But we're also getting ready for training camp, which is next week, starts on Wednesday. So it's like a week and a day, 1 week away. 5 questions facing the Carolina Panthers heading into training camp. I'm sure there are more. These are the ones that we thought of that were on our minds. We're going to talk about, is the QB battle for real? Should we, keep the kid gloves and protect Mr. Bubble Boy Christian McCaffrey, or is it just time to throw him out there and hope for the best? Who will step into the limelight, the spotlight? Will it be Terrence Marshall Jr. or somebody else? And YGM, can he be a starter, or is it going to be a veteran's job like Marquise Haynes, rotational? Can we see a second-year player like YGM jump in there? And everybody wants to know what that offensive line is going to look like. So we want to hear your thoughts on those questions. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. And let us know what's on your mind heading into training camp. I want to go ahead and shout out Lynn Leonhardt. She sent us a little donation on PayPal today. Very, very kind, very thoughtful. She said, just want to show my love for the C3 crew forever. You can support the show by smashing the thumbs up button, subscribing to the channel, and there are ways to donate. It's in the show notes. We have Cash App, we have PayPal, we have Patreon, we have some different things. We don't ever beg for it. We don't ask for it, but we do appreciate it. And thank you right away to a super chat right off the bat. Who do we got here? Zach Baker.
Yeah, Zach Baker says, you heard me, 10 wins this season. Also, DJ Moore's rating on the new Madden is disrespectful. Isn't it always, Zach? They're never going to give our guy the credit until he gets someone really good slinging him the rock. So thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. And again, just thank you for everyone's support, just being part of the channel, being part of the community. And thank you, my man, the voice that makes it moist, CK, for coming back for another C3 Panthers podcast.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be able to talk about the Carolina Panthers for yet another week. But there's something that's even more exciting, and that is that we are exactly 1 week away from the Panthers reporting for training camp. So there's a lot of questions we have to answer. There's a lot of concerns we have with the team. But all in all, it's always good to know that the Panthers are going to be on the field, practicing, getting better, hopefully battling out, giving us some answers about what to expect moving forward with this season. I'm glad to be here to chop it up with you boys.
We had such a powerhouse offseason. This show has been growing tremendously. Our goal is to get to 5,000 or 4,000 subscribers by training camp, or by the season's kickoff. we're like 200 subscribers away, 220 away. It can really be done. And I'm talking about this is that not only is that goal achievable, but the growth and the support that we've had in the offseason, I cannot wait, like CK said, to actually see some thudding out there on the football field and to have some real things to talk about beyond speculation, just our feelings. But to really, I can't wait for the first post-game show this year. I'm really excited to get some football back. And I tell you one thing, I was really excited when Greg dropped this intro, and we got a couple more gems coming to you later in the show. I'm sure Joey the Blind Panther was very excited to hear the growl that makes him howl being part of the introduction. I've already seen a lot of good comments in the chat room. Greg, welcome back, and thank you for your creative input.
Oh man, always really fun time, dude. It's getting so close to football season. I can smell it in the air. It's like I wake up and I feel differently now. We're like, I'm starting to look at tickets and looking into buying jerseys and really diving into the news for football now. It's so exciting. And I think this is going to be a big year for the Panthers. I really do. I've already got my playoff beard started.
I hear you.
Looking nice and lush. So it should be down to about, here by February. So we'll
put him in some braids.
Yeah,
I know it's fantasy time, man. I'm telling you, like, I'm starting to get, it's the season. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, football is in the air, and next week we're going to have real football, or at least practice to talk about. In fact, tonight, before we jump in, just tomorrow night, 8:00, join me with Schuler Callahan for the beat check. Depending on Cody is TBA, depending on how his day goes tomorrow. But still, we're bringing the beat check. We're going to be bringing you Debate My Takes. But tomorrow night, we're going to check in with Schuler Callahan from SI and covers the Panthers. Really smart guy, and asks some really, kind of penetrating and intellectual questions in those post conferences, in those press conferences. So I'll be interested to see what is looking forward to with this camp and some of his thoughts on the direction of this team. So ton to talk about tonight. We want to go ahead and jump into it. And really, I mean, it's kind of cool, Cody, as we were prepping for the show yesterday, and we were like, and you sent me the message or the picture of the Texans helmet. And you were like, we got to talk about this how these other teams are doing all this junk and all this fire. And then this morning, I get done. I was like at work, I show up into work or whatever, I check my stuff, and boom. People are going crazy. I mean, and people are tagging us, which is awesome. I love this is because I didn't have people like, hey, this is what's happening, folks. C3 Panthers podcast. Check this out. And the new hats, the black cats. We're finally black. It's the blackout. Is the bad luck broken? I think this is the reason we had poor success in the blackout uniforms, because they weren't fully complete.
Yeah, they weren't completed. We needed the black tops. This is something that Panther fans have been screaming for. A Panther is black. It's pitch black. And the fact that we were, basically the last team really to jump on the black helmet train, man. Even the Saints earlier this year put out a black helmet alternate. So we were wondering when it would finally be our turn. And they did it, man. They did it. They delivered. They're bringing back the black helmets. It's only going to be for one game this season. It'll be Thursday night football against the Atlanta Falcons. So it'll be an opportunity for us to make it mean something. And it's been a long time coming, man. And you can already hear people starting to pound the drum to make this our official helmet. That people really like this helmet that much. I love it. I really don't have a negative thing to say about it. I think it is absolutely perfect because it's minimalist. I've said this before. A pure black helmet with just our Panther logo. It looks so incredible. It's like a Panther with the moonlight shining down on him. And right before he's about to pounce on you and just absolutely take you out for dinner, man. I love it, man. I think it's incredible.
The matte black too, instead of it being like super high gloss. I like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just everything about a black helmet
I'll post
screams
some
great.
pictures.
I've always loved the Ravens full black uniforms. I think it just looks so intimidating. I don't know why, but I love it. I hope that it becomes more than a one-time thing, and I think it will.
Yeah, matte black is cool. The gloss, I think in this is CK is like finally what I'm most happy about this is we don't have to argue about it anymore. We don't have to cry. We don't have to hear for the last 7 years, all I hear are these like mock-ups of, it's like, oh, check out this mock helmet or whatever. What do they call them? Like these spec helmet. Like, oh, this spec helmet.
Yeah.
The fan art.
Spec uniform. Yeah. And you're like, and then there'll be a bazillion hours of people talking on Twitter or wherever about how we got it, CK. What do you think?
100%. Dude, it's slick. It's like you said, it's simple, but it's also it's exactly what I think we all imagined it would be. Like if we had like our say in how the helmet was going to look. And I think Greg had said that he believes this is going to be a multi-game thing. Obviously not this year, since it's only 1 year or one game scheduled this year on November 20th or whatever day it is. That's really close to the end of the year already. I don't think it's going to be much of a benefit outside of that one game this year. But I'll tell you what, man, I think the fan reaction to this is going to make it difficult for them to not make this a regular appearance.
Yeah, it would just be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Like, I mean, if you see it like is that, in fact, I'm even surprised that there's been a couple of people in here that said they messed up the logo with the blue T. I mean, and that's kind of these are some nitpicks, but I can understand like some of those nitpicks is I could see the different things.
The teeth are a different color.
Like a silver, there's no silver in it. Maybe a touch of silver could be cool or something like that. So, I mean, there's ways that it could be, I'm sure, better. But here's the thing is that we finally got the black on black on black. And really, this is like a 99.9% approval rating among Panther fans. I mean, to the point where people are like, let's just make this our uniform.
Full-time uniform.
Yeah.
Either all black or all white. Yeah.
I would have never have noticed that until you brought it up, that the fangs are not white like they normally are. Maybe I would do the original logo, but dude, I don't even care. If it was this, I'm not complaining about it.
Right.
And listen, there's a lot of things that we could say about David Tepper, but I do think if you even look back at Panther fans wanting the Panther in the middle of Bank of America Stadium, as opposed to the NFL logo, David Tepper really has done a good job of trying to put his finger on the pulse, at least. Maybe not roster-wise or coaching staff-wise, but as far as aesthetics and things that people like pertaining to, the Panthers team, I think he's done a good job at that. So it wouldn't surprise me if sometime down the road, this is being considered to be a more permanent thing.
Yeah. With the Panthers as of recent, they've been doing the black bottoms and the white tops, which I've never really been a huge fan of. But I think the black bottoms, the white tops with this helmet
will help it.
Change it up.
Will help it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It always just felt like when you tried to mix up our uniform, that the silver helmet, like the traditional helmet, just kind of interfered with the mix up. Like you should have just stuck with what worked well at that point. So like that black, white, and then the silver was kind of like you're saying, I think this will complete it. I'm just hoping this is that somebody pointed out we're only wearing them once, you guys mentioned, but there's only one primetime game. You don't want to overdo the black on black on black unless you do make it the full-time uniform, right? Because
what you can't do, like they talk about with the Heat, like there's just no way you're playing summer games.
But we never do that anyway. If you notice, the first three or 4 weeks that the Panthers play in Charlotte, they're always wearing the white uniforms, even if they're here. So
okay, so all right, so that's a great point. So we know there's going to be more, but the thing is, you kind of want to have a specialness to it. Like it's like you save it if you bring out the good booze on the special occasion type thing. If you wear it too frequently, it just becomes normal. It doesn't become like the cool thing. One time a year, I know is small, but that's just because we're only in one primetime game. And talk about, is there anything more quintessentially representative of Thursday night football than the Panthers and Falcons this year. And I'm hoping the Panthers have a good year. I think there's a possibility they could, but we know historically Thursday night games are just injury ridden, snore fest. I mean, we've actually had some good ones in the last year or so, but for a long time they were just horrendous beat downs or snoozers. This is not the most exciting primetime game, the Panthers versus the Falcons.
And it's later in the season too, when most people are expecting that neither of these teams are going to be very good. So it's easier to kind of say that on the surface, but I don't know.
Yeah, we could get surprised. We could be surprised by that point.
And not even us just being surprised, but just the fact that we're breaking out these first black helmets against our hated division rival, who, by the way, also has a black helmet.
Yeah.
And we have this stigma that, me and Tony go back and forth. Are they cursed? Are they not cursed? Are we always jinxed to lose in black? Is the black helmet the final piece of the pie that makes them no longer cursed? I don't know. The fact that it's all against Atlanta, it's kind of fun.
It's the final Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know. I don't know enough about that. Who's that guy?
Thanos.
Thanos. Hey. I don't know. But is that maybe that was the problem? Maybe it wasn't the black on black. Maybe it was the silver hex helmet.
Hey, I do want to say, though, this game is like week 10 or 11 of the season. It's not that late. It's almost mid-season, just a little past
mid-season. Is it November 10th?
Yeah, this could be like a make or break game for us, to be honest with you. This could be one of those ones where we're looking at it like, okay, we're going to be a serious team or we're done.
Yeah. Or in many ways, we don't know how the season will unfold. It's just kind of like the general theory is that the Falcons are going to stink and that the Panthers, at least outside of Panther Nation, thinks the Panthers are going to stink too. So it's like not the one you're marking on the calendar. But for me, it's a really important one. My birthday's the next day, so it's like a cool game. Like it might be the one.
It's also cool to have it be on, the first season that Amazon's going to be hosting Thursday Night Football as well.
Right. Like the whole year, right?
Right. The whole year. You're going to have Al Michaels. I think there's going to be a conversation about it. And the fact is, this is one of the first times I think that they're going to have where Thursday Night Football is pretty much going to be accessible to everyone, since pretty much everyone has Amazon Prime. There's not many people out there that don't. So they're going to have access to this. Whereas before it was the NFL Network, there wasn't a lot of people that had access to that on a Thursday night.
I had trouble. I was one of those people. I actually had trouble getting it. And then you used to have DirecTV. Then it was then it was an add-on, and I wasn't going to pay the add-on when I just watch everything on the internet anyway. I finally did start, I got those Thursday nights games when Amazon did it, and you try to illegally stream it other ways. But you're right, Amazon, I think, is widespread enough. It would be like if Netflix had it. Right. It's probably common enough.
By the way, can I just say, dude, especially this picture right here with Brian Burns, look how cold that shit is, man. Yeah. Dude, just the all black, the pitch black, and the blue stripes on top. Dude, I just love it, man. I love it. Listen, I complain a lot when it comes to the Panthers sometimes, but when it comes time to give them credit, you have to give them credit. They hurt us. I think this is awesome. I really have not heard or seen. Yeah, I really have not seen anyone be negative about these helmets or even be down about it. It's unanimously seen as the dopest.
It's like what took so long. This is my favorite. This is my favorite. Yeah, all right. I want to talk about one last thing before we move on to the 5 questions facing the Carolina Panthers heading into training camp. I think that one of, and it's kind of like I'm going to parallel this off this picture right here, is that I think that go ahead and expect the Carolina Panthers to go ahead and pay Brian Burns big money. I really feel like he has been front and center on their 100%. PR campaign for the last year and a half. If you look at the 2 players that they used to drop this, it was Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin. And it's like these are right now, I think that, no Shaq Thompson, right? And not that but I really think, and you're talking about Burns, who's in his 5th year option, I believe, it's time for them to get the deal done. It's like there's not like if you don't do it soon, he's going to hit free agency, and then I mean, if he has a big year this year, it's going to cost a bazillion even more dollars.
Mhm.
I just really feel like him being on the front and center, the face. This is like right now he might be the face of the franchise, to be honest, right? I mean, no Christian McCaffrey. We remember when we said, "Oh,
It
we
was
cut
Christian
Cam and
was everywhere. Yep.
Yeah,
We knew that Cam Newton was we were like thinking it is that offseason that Rule was hired, where we were seeing a very concerted effort to put Christian McCaffrey front and center in everything. And you're seeing a similar thing here with Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin. Like it's hard to discount Jeremy Chin in this. Chin is an outlier in that he had a very good rookie season. He had a decent year last year, but fans love him. Like absolutely love Jeremy Chin. Like I think that Jeremy Chin, if he can turn it up a notch, he's going to have the similar love that we gave to Luke and to Thomas. And I think you're going to see that play out over the next few seasons. I think Chin is clearly going to be a face of the franchise moving forward, as well as he is also in this presentation, if you will.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to a picture of him while you're talking. Yeah, so Brian, literally, CK stole the words out of my mouth. I think that Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin have really been a large focus of the, when the team presents these guys to us, it's a lot of Brian Burns and it's a lot of Jeremy Chin. I mean, even just recently, I saw a video. They were doing stuff at Levine's Children's Hospital, and Jeremy Chin was front and center. And I just agree. I think right now these two are the clear leaders of our defense. And it even goes back, guys, when we paid Dante Jackson and DJ Moore, one of the things that Scott Fitterer said is that, they feel like they really have an obligation to reward the players that they've drafted and that have been working their butts off for the Carolina Panthers. And that's how you build, an actual culture and a locker room where new guys are drafted into the locker room, and it's a little bit easier on them because of the presence of a Jeremy Chin, because of the presence of a Brian Burns.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it's a bit odd that they didn't have an offensive presence with this presentation? Like, you did pay DJ Moore to be the guy, right? Wouldn't you want to have a DJ Moore? And I feel like DJ Moore would look fire in this as well. Or do you think they were really looking for those really tall and like they were looking for a body type more so than just a face?
You think the theme of the dark side just didn't fit DJ Moore?
Offense,
like he's such a
the offense.
wholesome. He's like just a wholesome guy. Like he never complains. He just always smiling. He just always it's like he doesn't have a dark side. And the whole video was about the dark side.
I'm 100% on Leon Hart's side on this. I think that the Panther helmets, the pitch black, they're so badass and aggressive. It just screams defense. You know what I mean? It's more aggressive. It's more in your face.
It's like I said, the Ravens. That's why the Ravens are so intimidating. I think it's crazy how much more intimidating it looks.
Also, even the Steelers.
Yes,
they have a black helmet too. Dude, I'm telling you, this has been it's been very long overdue. Dude. Again, me and Lynn, we're vibing. She said stealth speed equals defense. I love it. I think that all of our guys are gonna look fire in the black. And like I said, I think
it's our identity right now. To be honest, is that there is despite about DJ Moore is about the only good thing that has been kind of constant on our team, and even people have been critical of him at times of having the dropsies or something, not scoring enough touchdowns or whatever it may be. But is that even the best player on the team, Christian McCaffrey, has just been unavailable so long. It's just like the Panthers offense just isn't exciting until it gets better, and right now the only good things is everything has been about the defense, or at least that's what we're building on. And if it's probably the only thing that's kept Matt Rule's job, to be honest, is that the defense has gotten better so significantly each year under his leadership with Phil Snow. So All right,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and jump into the main part of the show. We'll go ahead and knock out a question before we get to some different parts of the segments. But we training camp 1 week away. 5 questions facing the Carolina Panthers heading into training camp. You can weigh in on these questions by calling into the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Let's start with the biggest one, or at least for me, it's the question: is the quarterback position. Until we get a quarterback, we don't have a quarterback, right? And now we've got so many quarterbacks on the roster. They continue to tell us that this is a competition, that competition breeds greatness. The Carolina Panthers recently traded for Baker Mayfield, and then the national media has kind of latched on to a couple of, I think, out of context statements by Jake Delhomme. Jake Delhomme just basically said is that Sam Darnold has a leg up on Mayfield at the moment because he's more familiar with the playbook. He's had time with McAdoo, and he's been able to learn the verbiage in a system that's a West Coast system, while Mayfield has not operated in a West Coast system. I think kind of a simplistic, because if you go back to his college days under Lincoln Riley is a spread offense. You know what I'm saying? They're firing it everywhere. So it's not like he's just incapable. It's just a question of how quick, how familiar. And the way that they set this up on the radio interview with Jake Delhomme is that they kind of see Darnold having the kind of maybe taking the reps early on in camp, and then Mayfield's like with the ones, and then Mayfield, as he becomes more familiar, supplanting him. But you saw Pro Football Talk. You see a bunch of the national. They can look at that one quote right here, and they say Sam Darnold looks to be ahead. So they're trying to get a discussion going. Is this competition real, guys? Because I don't think it is. I think it's a farce. I think it's Mayfield or nothing at this point.
100% fake. I completely agree with you. I don't think you trade for Baker Mayfield if you're not going to start him. What's the point in trading for Baker Mayfield if you're not going to start him? He can't be worse than Sam Darnold. I think you give him no playbook and no practice and no time with the team, and he could probably still be as good as Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's seeing ghosts, man. He's messed up psychologically. There's something in his head football-wise that's just not that he gets flustered and he's just not working, you know?
And I don't want to go ahead.
I have a fear. I think that it is a competition, and I'm going to tell you why. I think that Sam Darnold is an incredible camp quarterback. I think he's an incredible preseason quarterback. I think he starts the year out decent in most of his seasons, right? The problem then becomes they're going to use training camp as a leg to stand on to say Sam Darnold is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield, right? And I don't think that's a fair assessment, because when you look at the actual pudding that he's putting on the plate, it is not coming out as anything but runny, right? It's just not there. There's no substance to it. And Baker has put that on the field before. Now, the argument is, how good is Baker Mayfield? That's an argument that we can have all day, every day, right? But on paper, on tape, on pretty much every capacity you can think of, Baker Mayfield is the better quarterback. But I do have a fear that this team and this coaching staff sees this as a real competition as opposed to Baker Mayfield, the guy.
I can't believe it. And the reason I can't, but man, I felt like they have written Sam Darnold. Now, I don't want to completely write off Sam Darnold as a like, I think it's just unfair to be like that to people as well. Like, you're a bust, you're done, you're crap, you suck. And it's just so easy to say that he's just terrible and this and that, right? I mean, we know it's just like internet talk in some ways. But at the same time, this front office has written Sam Darnold off so much. I mean, they came out from the very beginning at the end of the season saying, we got to get better at quarterback. They didn't say, oh, we got to do more to help Sam get better and give him time. They said, we got to add to this room. We are adding to this room. We want people. They have aggressively courted Deshaun Watson. They have aggressively gone after, somewhat aggressively in the draft with Matt Corral. Then they have, on top of that, traded for Baker Mayfield, and they just shit talk Sam Darnold the whole time. And that's fine. I mean, I know he hasn't given him a ton of reason not to, but it just seems bizarre to have, I mean, those two faces on the sidelines together is just going to be who would look like they're more appropriate wearing the hat. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine what kind of stones would you have to have would you think that Matt Rule is a baller if he actually had the guts to say we're starting Sam Darnold over Baker Mayfield? I would be like, maybe this guy does have balls.
Well, my thing is this. I agree with Greg, is that I don't think there's an actual competition. I think that this was 100% done to save Matt Rule's job, and I think that he has yet again put his name on the quarterback, and I think that he's going to have to roll with Baker Mayfield. However, and again, I'm not trying to change people's mind. I understand people disagree with me, and the proof is going to be in the pudding by the time the season gets around here. I don't think that the difference between Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold is as big as a lot of people like to make it out to be. So I would like to see a legit competition for the starting job. I would like to see Sam Darnold come in with that same chip on his shoulder. I mean, listen, I understand Sam doesn't have a lot of fans, but we talk a lot about Baker having a chip on his shoulder. If you're Sam Darnold, how did you not have a chip on your shoulder right now? Everybody has already relegated you to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. He has a lot to prove, and I would like to see what that kind of urgency does to Sam Darnold. Now, I want the best man to win, and I want the guy who plays the best to be the guy who gets the starting job. And I hope that happens, but I really don't think it will. I think that now this is Baker's job to lose, and I think that they're going to give him every opportunity to keep himself as the starter.
This would be a lot easier if it just feels like this is the only reason that we can think that this is an actual competition is because Sam Darnold's making more money than Baker Mayfield, right? Mm-hmm. But there was an interesting quote from Taylor Heineke in Washington with the Commanders, who's under Ron Rivera. They brought in Carson Wentz. Now to remind people is that Heineke took them guys, they made it to the playoffs. Now they backed in like a typical Ron Rivera team, 7-8-1 or whatever. Division. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But they were in a playoff game and they kind of, Heineke played pretty hard against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that year that the Bucs went on to win the Super Bowl. They asked Taylor Heineke if it was a competition. He said, look, I know that if there's a real competition in Washington, and he said, I guess that we want to say that because it's a competitive sport. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, he's making $30 million. I'm making $2 million. He was brought in to be the starter, and I'm here to be his backup. So it's not like he just playing it. I mean, he's like, it's a business. It is the way it is. I'm going to go out there. It's like, yeah, I'm going to play hard, but I'm here to back him up. If Sam Darnold was making $2 million and he brought Baker Mayfield in, we would be having that same conversation. But that's the only reason. The only reason right now is that Sam Darnold, the money is like the exact kind of same. And then you get this weird, what about this dude on Good Morning Football who said Baker Mayfield shouldn't even be in a top 64 quarterback? I mean, come on.
Yeah,
man, what kind of fucking bullshit?
Mike Robinson.
Like, what kind of ridiculous crap is that? I just think is that, look, as they tried it was, if they believed in Sam Darnold, they would have just said we got to add around Sam Darnold. We can get better.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, when you bring on a guy who only has 1 year, if you're not planning on starting him that in his 1 year you have him, what's the point in trading for him? Because you're not going to not start him and then sign him next year. I mean, it just seems pointless to me to bring in a guy to trade for him at all, but especially a guy with 1 year left in his deal. If you're not going to start him, what's the point of the move? But this is the Panthers. They do make moves like that.
I could see this being a move.
Unexpected.
I could see this being a move just to try to pressure Sam Darnold to see what that type of, like I talked about last week, like Cody mentioned, to see what type of competition or what type of quarterback Sam Darnold can become when he's actually got a fire to his ass, right? When he was in the Jets, here's the reality of it, right? When he was at the Jets, he was always the starter, right? There was nobody in the backfield that was going to be questioning him for that position. They didn't have that, and then they got traded to the Panthers. Who did he have that was gonna pressure him for the starting job there? PJ Walker? No. Like he came here, he got his 5th-year option picked up. He was guaranteed money. Like there was no pressure, right? And so I think the team is looking at this like maybe we can create some level of like competition that's going to make Sam Darnold a better quarterback. I could see that being where they went with this. I don't think that's the idea that they're having when they traded for Baker Mayfield. I really do believe that they think Baker Mayfield is the guy, in my opinion, for the starting position this year. But I do believe Matt Rule, being who he is that he is going to look at this as a legitimate competition between the two of them. And that's my fear, is you can do all you want in the preseason, in training camp. But when you got to the game, Sam Darnold does not have it up here when it really matters.
It just gets worse and worse and worse when he makes a mistake. Yeah. Somebody said in the chat, like, the only thing is, like you say, you want to put him in this pressure, you want to create this competition. Somebody in the chat said, I want to see him mad. He don't get mad. That's the whole thing. Yeah, like, if you saw him on that Busted with the Boys podcast, they were like literally saying, what do you think about people who say you're a fucking bum? And he's like, I don't care. Baker's the one that gets mad. At least Baker gets mad. I mean, I guess it's the California kid versus something else. So, and for someone who was asking if Bat Daddy is still on that Mayfield jersey, they call us the Baker Bottoms, baby. We're Baker Bottoms. That's what I'm a Baker Bottom right now. I'm on that. Not on. Actually, that's gonna get weird quick. Actually, speaking of weird, I'm not the only weird one here.
Oh, dude, you're not even. Dude, you're not the first weird one here.
Top 5.
Yeah, you're not even top 5, dude. We have a chat room filled to the brim with weirdos, and yeah, they like to listen to us talk about Panthers football, but they also have a weird fetish, dude. They like to be shamed, and boy, oh boy, do we have the man for them. CK, let them know.
Well. Look who we have here. I'm talking to you. Come closer. Let's have a conversation about something right now. We have all of these legendary people in the chat, all of you regulars, but maybe even some irregulars, and you've come in here, you're letting our voices pierce your eardrums into your skulls and talk about the Carolina Panthers, about whether Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold's going to be the guy. But you're coming in here and you haven't hit that like button yet? I have one thing to say to all you legends. Subscriber shame.
Subscriber shame. 193 strong viewers watching right now. 73 thumbs up. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. Hit that notification bell every single time the C3 Panthers podcast goes live. Listen, the season's almost here. We're kicking it up into high gear, y'all. We're going to be putting out more and more content. We have beat checks coming up. We have debate my takes coming up. We have the return of the post-game show right around the corner. Man, we have so much cool things in store for y'all. If you would like to be a part, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell to help us grow this channel and get to 4,000 subscribers by the start of the season. Please and thanks. Tony Dunn, what we got next for him?
Next comes back to Christian McCaffrey, right? And what we're asking here is that Christian McCaffrey, I saw someone, and we'll talk about this in a moment. We got some stats coming from the Stat Daddy. But it's kind of was sparked with number one is a guy on Good Morning Football last week or a couple of days ago said that Christian McCaffrey was the second most overrated player in the NFL. There is a narrative that he's injury prone that's emerged. I even saw today on Twitter Someone was still saying there was a fantasy football guy, and this is important to me. Is like is Christian McCaffrey still the number one pick? And he said this is like he said, I know that like he argued that the injury stuff was largely overblown. He knows that it went bad the last 2 years, but he still thinks like there's a reasonable argument for him to be the number one fantasy pick.
Mm-hmm.
But all I'm trying to say is this: when it comes to this, is a question going into this training camp. We have debated. So many people have debated about moving Christian McCaffrey to the slot, what his role should be. So much of the talk has been about trying to relate his injuries to overusage. And it's like, oh, well, it's not just running between the tackles. It's about all the plays when he's not involved. He was on, and I love to say he got 33 touches in week 1. He played 99% of the snaps in 2020, maybe.
He hit the 1,000, I think.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, are you going to run him into the ground, this and that? And so I feel like this is like the question right now is, do you treat Christian McCaffrey with kid gloves? Or, and even in this training camp, is this one of those training camps where Christian McCaffrey is just going to be on the bike every day? Where it's just like, hey, we don't get hit. I mean, you don't thud in practice a lot anyway. So like a running back doesn't really do much. You know what I'm saying? Like they just get to show off. They catch it in space. Nobody can tackle them and they look good. Do you handle him with kid gloves and protect him, really limit his participation in training camp, the preseason? I mean, they said they weren't going to play him at all in the preseason. Or is this a season where you just throw them in there and say, you know what, it's just time for us to figure out if this is a real problem or if it's just a fake problem? Do the kid gloves or hope for the best?
You're not going to like my answer because I know your opinion on Christian McCaffrey. You think that there is a narrative that, we have to protect him too much. Like we have to protect him at his own peril. And I get that. He's a professional football player playing probably the toughest position on your body in all of football. So I hear your point. But seeing as how our offense completely falls off a cliff every time Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, I think that we do need to change up the way that we use him. In fact, I wouldn't mind if Christian doesn't really get rolling until around week 3 or 4 of the NFL season.
Right.
Like, let him really split the load between him and having a brain fart, our new guy that we just signed, what's the guy? D'Onta Foreman. D'Onta Foreman. Let him and Foreman split the load. Let them kind of pick it up. Then you can start to lean on Christian McCaffrey. I want CMC to be healthy and meaningful for us come November and December football. And that's something that we have not had available to us for the past 2 years. So, Tony, while it might be a little bit annoying, I do think that at least to start off, and especially through training camp, we do need to kind of treat him with a little bit of kid gloves. Go ahead, CK.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the only thing I concern myself with if there was this actual reality of splitting the reps. We did that in his first year with Jonathan Stewart. And what happened is we became predictable. We know we're running the ball if Jonathan Stewart's in the game, and we know we're passing the ball if Christian McCaffrey was in the game. It became very one-sided, right? And there's still some debate on if Christian McCaffrey is a good run through the tackle type of running back. He has always been better in space. And so it makes it a lot more predictable when he isn't the only guy running the football, because now if it's sort of like if you bring Mike Tolbert into the game and it's a goal line stance, it's probably going to Tolbert, right? In some way, shape, or form. We became a little bit more predictable than I'd like. Now, granted, we went to the playoffs that year, so maybe there is some credence to the idea of splitting those reps. And it was the year after that he had such an incredible year as well when he finally got that opportunity. But the other part of this is, like, I don't know that you need kid gloves. Both injuries were not related to one another. And to be fair, I think that the first year that he got injured, I think we held him out for the majority of the year. We were in a lost season already. I think he could have came in the last 5 or 6
you can make
games.
that argument for both years, to be honest.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that that's a true statement without question. I think Christian McCaffrey had the ability to come in last year and they held him out because, again, lost season. There was no point.
No point.
Mhm.
None.
There's no point at that point.
All right.
I mean,
Greg, go ahead.
the overrated thing is what bothers me about this whole situation, because Christian McCaffrey is not overrated. I'm saying gloves off on this one, and for the simple reason that when we put these stats up here in a little while, you're going to see what kind of production this guy has. I'm talking seriously. If you take injury away and he can continue his career, this is going to be, he's in line to be one of the greatest offensive weapons ever in the NFL statistically. Okay. So, and it's only going to last so much longer. He's already in his 5th year now. Like, this is when running backs normally start to lose that burst or have to change their game up. So I think you throw him in there, you get as much out of him as you can. While he's under contract,
run this motherfucker into the ground.
Yes, I agree. That's
what
he's paid for.
And here is the thing: is like, number one, say this. Say we one. All right, actually, number one, I'll say this is that like his running, the running between the tackles and the brutality on his body, had in relation to his injuries, that is a corollary argument, not a causal. He's not gotten a single injury running up the gut. He actually has been far better than I ever expected him running between the tackles, right? Is that I thought he was going to be like, it was going to be the Leonard Fournette that could do that. And I was worried if that would translate into an NFL game. Dude, when he runs the ball, no matter how you get it to him, you get it to him in space, you get it in wherever, he is more productive than anybody else on the team every time. So none of those injuries have come from running between the tackles. Corollary, not causal. All of the injuries have been non-contact injuries, except for maybe, I think he had a shoulder one a little bit at the beginning 1 year. And I don't know if that was diving or contact, but these have not been major degenerative issues either. You know, it's like, you're not worried about him having 3 ACL surgeries. Yeah, these have been soft tissue hamstrings. They've lingered. They've been problematic. I wonder if maybe treating him with kid gloves has contributed to his injury problems. And what I mean by that is that he seemed for the last 2 seasons to be a ridiculous workout warrior. Like, he comes in so jacked up, and it was almost like every muscle in his body was just so strained to where it could just elastically, like a rubber band, snap at any moment. You almost wonder if him just going full speed in day one without a lot of contact, a lot of kind of warm up through training camp, through preseason, has maybe been any contributor to that. But my last point is this, is like, who cares? You've treated him with kid gloves in one hand, and he's been hurt. The other thing is you've paid him a big contract. Like, if he comes out, do you really think if Christian McCaffrey comes out and has 1 or 2 more seasons like he did the 1,000 season, we're talking Marshall Faulk numbers. By the way, Marshall Faulk's numbers were way better in so many ways. But if he had that resurgence, do you think in 2 years when his contract's up that people are really going to be like, let's give him the bag? I don't think that. I think it will be at a much reduced rate. So you might as well just like, let's go. Let's go, Mo. Let's go.
I hear you, but I think to just completely ignore his track record and his injury history and say, okay, well, now we're going to go the exact opposite, just pedal to the metal. Like, it looks bad as soon as we do that. And let's say he does get injured. Then it's like, all right, man, what are we doing?
Then he's injury prone. If he gets hurt this year, he's injury. Like, I don't think. Do you think?
I just don't know that the answer is to then do the opposite and go, all right, dude, you got to prove that you're worth it. Throw him into it and just be out there all the time. I think that our misusing of Christian McCaffrey, I genuinely believe, has what led to a lot of his injuries because
What?
we
I
use
just don't.
this is we use Christian. We have him on the field more than any other top running back in the NFL, more than Derrick Henry, more than Alvin Kamara, more than Nick Chubb. Like, you name it. You name a running back. When Christian McCaffrey is available, they have him out there on an insane number of snaps.
Mhm.
Now, I'm hopeful that the signing of Deontay Foreman means that they're going to try and do a little bit different in those regards. But, I mean, come on. I think the fact that you're paying him so much money that we can't just continue to throw him to the wolves and then expect
Not even
He's-
what Greg, look this up for me while we're talking about this. Is what's the most carries he's had in a season? Like the most carries, I think it's like in the 200. I don't even know if he's in the 300s. Now he gets a lot of action in the receiving game and stuff like that, but he's not getting hurt. Is volume the problem? It doesn't seem like
also look
volume's
up
the
like
problem.
percentage of snaps per game. Like that. Like I remember there was something crazy. Like wasn't he on the field like 90-something%?
Yeah, it was
of our
yeah,
offensive
99%. He played 99% of the snaps.
Dude,
like
that
he got
is
like one.
absurd.
He had
Well, so was the
287
quarterback though.
attempts. 287
Yeah, but-
attempts in 2019 when he did the 1,000.
But Tony, you
287.
can't mention
That's
the
not
quarterback.
even.
You can't mention the quarterback like it's the same thing. The wear and tear on the body of a running back is far greater
How
than
about
what a
this?
quarterback is.
What about
gonna do.
this? Is would you
Agreed.
say how many snaps do you think the starting left tackle, if he starts every game, plays? Like you're not like taking him out. You're not going,
All right.
oh well, he played. We need to rest him. We need to rest him. I mean, he played 98% of the snaps. No,
A
you're
lot
like,
less
fuck yeah,
sprinting,
he had a
though.
healthy season.
A lot less sprinting, though. A lot less running full speed into a line of linebackers. I'm not saying that they're not out there tired, busting their ass, but I'm
just
just
because
saying,
you're on the field every play doesn't mean you're getting the ball every play. So I feel like the 99% can be a little bit misleading. Is like you could be not involved in the play at all almost.
I agree.
You know, like you just split out, you run over there and nothing
All right.
happens.
So, and
Right.
this might not be a great argument since what happened last year with Derrick Henry, but in 2020, which was Derrick Henry's big year, not including last year, he had 397 touches in total, right? Well,
It's crazy.
Christian McCaffrey, his 2019 year had 403. That's only six different touches, right? And the majority of Christian McCaffrey's were, not the majority, but 140 of those
Yeah.
were from catching the ball,
Yeah.
right?
Which you
And
want to
so
make him a
that-
slot receiver, then that's the same thing.
Well, the thing is that even if you take that into consideration, we can all agree if you're receiving if you're getting the ball out of the backfield, you're not taking nearly the same damage you're taking as if you're running up the middle, right? And getting
Right.
7 guys landing on
Right.
top of you and hitting your knees and all that stuff, right? You're still getting hit, and there is still value in that. But Derrick Henry took 387 freaking rushes, and
Basically smashes. Like he
Right.
smashed up the middle 80% of the time on that.
right. And so I don't like. I think the idea that Christian McCaffrey, like, even if you look at the like, I remember that 2019 year, that was the argument we were talking about, his percentage of being on the field as opposed to X, Y, or Z. And I remember looking at a stat, and it was like, this is a pretty misleading stat because it's like making it seem like, number one, because it's Christian McCaffrey was on the field for 98% of the snaps of the offense. He wasn't getting the ball 98% of the time.
Right.
But on
Right.
top of that, Christian McCaffrey was incredible at avoiding contact, right? So it wasn't even like he was getting that type of damage. I don't even think, if you look at last year, or even the year before that, I don't think that his injuries came from contact.
None.
Like, I think there were a
he
lot
tried to
of-
do like a little hiccup move or something,
Right.
and he
Hurt
pulled
his
his
hamstring.
hammy.
Yeah.
And I think that has more to do with his conditioning in the offseason more so
Over
than anything else.
conditioning.
Right.
Maybe
Over
too big.
conditioning.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's got
Over
the,
exercising.
I think his body type, and again, I'm not a scientist and I'm not Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey knows his body more than me. But I think based on just the eye test, Christian McCaffrey is not meant to be this ginormous human being. I think that it makes it unnatural and it makes it more likely to have those soft tissue injuries that he's been dealing with. The good news is these have not been like meniscus injuries or like these things that are going to slow him down over the life of his career.
Achilles.
Right.
Achilles. You're probably more worried about what Derrick Henry went through with that.
Right.
100%.
He had that same. I think he had an injury similar to Cam. What was that called? Remember when it's like that little bone? The
Fasciitis?
No,
it
plantar
was-
fasciitis is when you get like a cramp in a permanent foot cramp. It was like a metatarsal.
Yeah,
like
they had to crack the metatarsal.
Yeah, that little bone. But
Liz Frank or something like that.
Yes,
Liz
that's what it
Frank,
was.
yeah.
Liz Frank injury. So yeah, it's interesting. But for me, I think we're starting to hit the point with Christian McCaffrey's career in Carolina, where like maybe you say that if you think you're going to sign him to another deal in the future, but right now people are wondering if he's ever going to be Christian McCaffrey again, let alone get another contract.
Right.
So like I'm at the point is I'm just ready to see Christian McCaffrey start the whole season. Fuck it. Like you got to go earn your spot out there just as much as everybody, and not just, oh, is it a competition there? How about that? Let's ask Scott Fitter. Is there a competition in the running group? Like, is there a chance Dante Foreman beats out Christian McCaffrey? No. Shut. All right.
Here's the thing. If Christian McCaffrey gets hurt this year, his career in Carolina is going to be done.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's tough.
Sad,
tough.
Man.
All right. Next up, who wins the spotlight? Now, this is who wins the spotlight in this training camp. There's always a training camp darling, right? Is that somebody who they impress, they stand out, they're going to have the best year, they look so good. We've heard this about numerous players in the Panthers past, and a lot of these have been misleading. Usually you don't bet on the camp hero, the camp warrior. It's not the best thing to do. But is the spotlight in this camp and this season, or the expectations of this season, is it Terrace Marshall Jr.? Because that's who they highlighted in OTAs. Is the spotlight, is he the training camp darling, or is it somebody else?
I think it's two. I think it's Marshall, and I think it's Trimble. I think those are the two people that are going to be a major focus.
He's been a quiet
offense.
We haven't even thought about him, have we? Really?
We haven't, and I think that it's something that is potentially one of these guys that is going to be a sleeper, right? I think people aren't going to expect anything from him. I don't think the team is putting a lot of emphasis on Marshall because I don't think they want defensive coordinators to prepare for this guy yet, right? I think they want to have him come out and just be I think this guy can, like, Cody got me excited when he was talking about what this guy can do, right? And I believe every moment of it, right? I saw some glimpses of it last year without a quarterback, without having an offensive coordinator that really knows how to game plan to get this guy involved. Tommy Trimble, we saw that in the preseason. I remember seeing one of those plays and it just felt different for Tommy Trimble. Like, I just don't feel like I'd been excited about a tight end like I had for Trimble, right? And just with what I saw on the field with his athleticism, things like that, we have a new offensive coordinator that is known for getting guys like Marshall involved and like our tight ends with Tommy Trimble. I think these two guys are going to be people to keep an eye out on. And I think they're going to, in training camp, they're going to be the guys that won training camp, because you always know they come out with these lists. Who won this year in training camp? I think these guys could be potentially the guys.
I think that you raised a really good point there, CK. I wasn't even thinking about it. If you could turn Tommy Trimble into a what's the guy, Melvin Ingram in the tight end for the Giants, he turned him into that. I'm cool with that, and I'm actually pulling for Tommy Trimble. That's a superhero name right there. Like, I like Tommy Trimble just as a name. As far as Terrace Marshall Jr. goes, I hope that he does well. It'd be great to have him step up and be kind of what we expect him to be. I just know in Madden he catches everything I throw at him. So I don't know what it is, but he catches everything I throw at him, Madden, and big time catches for me too, like in clutch spots. So
everyone has mentioned Terrace Marshall Jr. a lot based on OTAs. He has looked great. I kind of think that's the one that everyone's hoping for. I'm going to give you the underdog. And if this person blows up, it could have resounding impacts and implications on our defense. And that's right. I'm talking about Davion Nixon, defensive tackle. We drafted him last year out of Iowa. This dude is nasty. And, there's been a lot of talk about Derek Brown as well. is he worth that first round pick? What, that number 7th, 8th overall that we picked on, or that we used to pick Derek Brown? And he's a run stuffer. He's a middle of the line guy who's trying to eat up double teams, right? Davion Nixon is a guy that you're going to put at 3 tech and let this man absolutely feast. I think Davion Nixon was showing a lot of potential last year in training camp. I know he dealt with some injuries. He obviously has to stay healthy. But if Davion Nixon can turn it on and be a legitimate 3 tech for the Carolina Panthers, people have no idea how far that will go on our offensive line. That means better matchups and more one-on-ones for
right?
Brian Burns. Yeah, big.
But you know what? I'm tired of getting excited about these late round defensive tackles because they're always the ones I love to get excited. I thought Bravion Roy was that was my guy last year. Same question we would have asked last year was Bravion Roy. Oh, he was a great rotational player in a rookie year, a deep draft pick, maybe just underrated. Missing in action. So we need Big Snack. We actually probably need Big Snack to do something because it's the Leonidas, right? It's him. Yeah. And Derek Brown, you're gonna need him to be a contributor. It's a good one. Some good ones there.
Yeah, man.
To answer the question, yes, the spotlight is going to be deserved for TMJ, and I think this year we're gonna really be happy that we picked him up last year in the draft.
Imagine
particularly if an injury comes about, sometimes that's how a guy's going to get a larger role, you know what I'm saying, and some different things.
I could see him being a Chris Godwin type of person in this offense. I don't think that he's going to be the opposite of DJ Moore. I think they want to have that burner to go down the field with Robbie Anderson to be able to get that, keep the stretch the field out a little bit more. But I think he's going to fill that slot role that Chris Godwin fills for the Bucs. And especially given that I think he has the ability, the range, and I think he's got a lot of athleticism to be able to be one of those guys. I think Chris Godwin's probably a pretty good comparison for what DMJ could be.
And you also mentioned him going in the slot receiver position. He's a big guy too, so he's better built for going across the middle. I wouldn't be surprised if we decided to try and use him kind of like the Bengals do with T. Higgins, right? So Jamar Chase is the number 1 in that offense, but T. Higgins is a big-bodied presence with long arms that can go up and pinpoint the ball, and he's got decent speed. Well, I think Terrace Marshall Jr. is that exact same kind of receiver, is that he's going to be a real threat to stretch the field. He ran a 4.3, and the dude's 6'3". He has an incredible ability to high point the ball. I think that's what our offense has been missing. Once upon a time, it was supposed to be Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess, and you all know how that turned out. So, yeah, I think he has a lot more potential than either of those two. So, yeah, man, he needs to have a big year this year, man. Our offense in general has to have a big year. Everyone has to step it up to a new level this year.
Man, I can tell you this. Keep it real. Keep it real gone wrong. He said, y'all going to watch the Panthers lose to the Browns, then watch the Hornets lose to the Cavs. I tell you this, man, is poor. Man, the Browns fans win one, get to the playoffs and win one time in 20-something years. And then they're like, man, we got the best fucking team on earth.
To be fair, let's also keep in mind, this is a minority of the Browns fans. The majority of Browns fans are pretty level-headed and have dealt with some of the worst seasons that you could ask for as a franchise. Like, let's be real about if you're a Browns fan, I commend you because you have gone through some shit. I know, right? You have gone through the ringer, right. And you've had these super teams, and you've never been able to put it together. And I know this is starting to sound like an insult, and it sure sounds like it's possibly going that way. But at the end of the day, I think that if you're a Cleveland fan and you're in a Panthers podcast constantly day in and day out, I think there might be a fear involved that maybe you lost the trade And on top of that, maybe you lost the trade for Deshaun Watson, especially if he doesn't play this year. And now you have to worry about trying to figure out assign all of these major names coming up that you have to worry about signing to a long-term contract. But you're going to have to pay Deshaun Watson such a large amount of money. But at the end of the day, I don't think the majority of Browns fans are keep it real style.
I tell you this, though, is that shows you winning is a drug. You know, winning is a drug, and they got a little taste of that drug. They got a little taste of winning. They're like, he's cracked out right now. He's cracked out. And I tell you this is the craziest thing I've heard recently, was like in the Browns news, is that they are interested in signing a veteran quarterback in case they need something with the Deshaun. Like, well, first, you're gonna be, if the NFL doesn't suspend him at all, or if it's just 2 games, it's the greatest. It's like the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Second, though, is you have Jacoby Brissett and Josh Dobbs. You have 2 veteran quarterbacks. What the fuck else? Like, who? Like, what do you mean? You already got the veteran quarterbacks. You already. It's just like
we've got a Sammy Darnold. If they're interested, we can swap the first and third picks of the 2018 NFL draft. But you know what, guys? I really got to keep it real with you. I don't mind these Browns fans. You know why I really don't mind them? Because they interact with the boys. They're here. They're in the chat room. They're during the Friday free-for-all. Man, they have been out letting their opinions be known about Baker Mayfield. And you know what? We appreciate that. And if you would like to continue to follow the career of Baker Mayfield, hit that like and subscribe. We're going to be doing this all season. And more importantly, if you would like to let your opinion on the Panthers, the Browns, Baker Mayfield, whatever, to be known, but we have just the thing for you. Let's do some cat calls, Tony Dunn. 252-288-5098.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey boys, listen to the show and y'all sound very down. I think y'all need a pick me up. I think y'all need some white chocolate espresso, maybe.
Ooh,
that's right, you know who it is. Coming to you live from Charleston, South Carolina.
Chucktown.
Cody. I hear you, Cody, on Twitter, crying. We have a middle of the pack quarterback. I want to talk about quarterback. I want Patrick Mahomes.
He is my son.
You know what we had to put up for the last 5 years? Horrible, below average quarterback play. I've been praying for average. So my question to you, Cody, is what quarterbacks right now starting would make you satisfied going into the season with? Which quarterback you'd be like, you know what? I'm okay with that. That's my question to you, Cody. And always remember, Cody, Spurs up.
Tigers eat chickens, bro. Just saying. Look, man. Look, I could go down a list and name a bunch of quarterbacks that I would prefer over Baker Mayfield, okay? But let me not waste your time, okay? Because essentially what I'm saying is that Baker Mayfield equals Teddy Bridgewater. If you want to say that he's better than Sam, fine. Whatever, dude. I'm tired of arguing the semantics. My argument is based on if you put Baker on all those teams Sam was on, he'd probably have very similar stats. I can't prove that. But what I can say is, to me, the athletic ability and the quarterback traits that Baker Mayfield has are very on par with Teddy Bridgewater. And we all saw how that happened and how that worked out. So I'm just not going to believe that this is a recipe for success until I actually see it produce some success. And by the way, last year, the Carolina Panthers started 3-0. So even if we come out to a hot start, I'll give the man his due, but I still need to see some sustained winning performances and a dramatic decrease in fourth quarter interceptions before I'm ever going to believe that Baker Mayfield is the answer to the Carolina Panthers quarterback woes.
Is there any? Go ahead, CK.
I've got to say something here. Teddy dealt with the same, if not worse, offensive line and played better than Sam Darnold played last year. So the argument of Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield are the same quarterback, or very close in skill level, is automatically going to be trumped by you saying that it's the same as Teddy Bridgewater. Because I think there was Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater was a tier above him. Now, do I think Teddy Bridgewater was a good quarterback? No, I think he was an average quarterback. And we were just so spoiled by Cam Newton that we wanted epic and elite.
Yeah.
We got so frustrated with Teddy Bridgewater because he couldn't push the ball down the field.
He wasn't Cam,
right?
And he wasn't Cam.
He wasn't Cam Newton. And he got the brunt of our frustration. I am not sitting here going back on a lot of the things. I still don't think Teddy Bridgewater was the guy for us, right?
Right.
I think we made the right decision to move on from him. Unfortunately, the people we decided to move to was not the right decision. So if you're saying that Teddy Bridgewater is Baker Mayfield is going to be equivalent to Teddy Bridgewater with the improved offensive line, with the improvements on just the potential for running back plus having the wide receiving core that we have, potentially a better offensive coordinator in Ben McAdoo, I'll take that all day, every day over top of what we had with Sam Darnold last year.
I'm going to give you guys this as a thought experiment while we listen to the next call. All right. And one of the things is Cody, you said you can think of a lot of quarterbacks that you would take over Sam Darnold, right? Those were your words.
And Baker.
Baker. Yeah. Right. A lot of quarterbacks you would take over that are starting in this league right now. I'm curious about this is what quarterbacks would we take Baker over? Right? Like if we had that, like if we reverse the question, who are the quarterbacks that are in this league that are starting or playing starting roles? Is there anybody that you would take Baker ahead of? And the reason I ask it in this way is because you got that guy that was on Good Morning Football that said he's not a starting quarterback. He's not a top 32. He's not even top 64. So are there any quarterbacks out there that you would take him over, Cody? So think about that as we go to the next call. The number is 252-228-5098.
Hey, guys. It's the growl that makes him howl, a.k.a. Joey the Blind Panther. Awesome intro, by the way. I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about when it comes to Baker Mayfield and Ben McAdoo. Ben McAdoo, when he was head coach of the Giants, benched Eli Manning. Straight up benched him. Now, that got him fired, but Eli Manning is Eli Manning. And the players adored him. So my question is that if Baker Mayfield were to not be playing well, do you think Ben McAdoo would still bench him for Matt Corral? And the reason I'm not saying Matt Rule is because Matt Rule, his leash is so short. I can't talk. His leash is short enough to where it makes no sense the way they're doing what they're doing right now.
It's not a leash, it's a collar.
Because they didn't fire Matt Rule. It's so obvious they don't trust him. So if McAdoo goes to Rule and says, hey, I want to bench Baker Mayfield, he's not playing well, and Matt Rule gives him any crap about it, well, Matt Rule is on the hottest of hot seats. So he's gonna get fired. So I just wanted to know what you guys think about that. And I could go to the Tepper angle too, and then I may or may not call in later to talk about him. But that's it for now. Anyway, guys.
All right, so we're gonna thanks for the call. And one of the things that you'll continue to look at is actually, I would say, is that Matt Rule has not been hesitant to bench people. That mugger benching people all over the place. He's like, I'll throw you on the bench to make
He'll
myself.
put the bench on the bench.
Yeah. Back to the question of quarterbacks that you would take Baker over. All right, I saw some suggestions in there. One of the first in the chat. One of the first things people went and started talking about Jameis Winston, which is a very interesting one, right? Is that also a former number 1 overall pick and also kind of a player that in some ways is similar, sort of mobile, but not mobile, right? Like, I mean, they're not runners, but like, I mean, Baker has got enough movement where he can extend plays and do some things. Prone to boom and bust kind of moments.
Right.
So I feel like that might be like and I won't say they're the same exact player because I think Jameis has got more of a downfield game than Baker does, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But Jameis does a lot of boneheaded crap too, and he throws a ton of picks. Like they come in spurts. Like he'll have 400 yards, but he'll have 5 picks in a game or some shit like that.
His last year with Tampa, he had 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
I know.
Yeah, but he had like 5,500 yards too. It was insane.
It was like wild with Bruce Arians. But so, who are quarterbacks that you would take Baker Mayfield over? I'll start with one right here. How about Mitch Trubisky?
Dude, you literally stole my answer.
Yes.
That was the answer I was going to go with. I would take Baker over Mitch. I think Mitch has some real bad inaccuracies. Mitch is more mobile, which again, so is Sam. Baker is not very mobile. Like, say what you want. He might be able to extend the pocket a little bit and move around, but he's never going to be a
than
threat.
Matt Jones.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, maybe that's someone else. I would kind of put him on the same kind of playing field
over
with.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, probably.
Would you take Mac Jones because he's younger and you haven't made bad.
Well, Mac Jones is younger, but I don't know. I kind of feel like the skill set is kind of
similar. Yeah,
like you're going to build the team around those quarterbacks in the same kind of fashion. Now everybody says Mac Jones is incredibly smart, great with the playbook. I don't have any evidence for or against Baker Mayfield in that manner. But yeah, man, it's that if I'm gonna take Baker over someone, they have to have also had a really rough start. Here's another one I would take Baker over: Carson Wentz.
Okay,
cool. That was the next person I was gonna ask you about.
I got one. How about Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Which he retired.
Did he? Oh, okay. The man was immortal.
You know what's funny?
Never made a playoff game.
Baker made years. Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's kind of who Baker is to me.
No,
like
he can't be. He already made a playoff game, man. Ryan Fitzpatrick played for 72 fucking different teams, and he was actually always kind of good.
Mm-hmm.
And
he went to the playoffs with the Jets, didn't he? Or did he almost
make it?
And the Bills, didn't he?
No, I don't think they made it.
Oh,
maybe I'm wrong on that. Somebody can double check me on that. But there's something with Ryan Fitzpatrick where he's like always been like, even his best seasons, the ones that you think are good, are still fucking horrendous.
Yeah. What about Matt Ryan?
Matt Ryan, I would take over
have to go
Baker.
Matt.
Really?
I think Matt Ryan still got some gas in the tank. Who is the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons? That's what I want to know. Who the hell is it?
Marcus Mariota. How embarrassing!
I would take him over him.
Yeah,
I would take Baker over Marcus. Yeah.
What about Davis Mills?
Who was the quarterback? Oh, but by the way, about Matt Ryan, I feel like I have less of a problem, like actually kind of rooting for that guy this year. He's not a Falcon. And number two, he's in the AFC. Like the Colts might be a pretty damn good team this year.
I'll throw it out there. I want him to do so fucking good because it's going to just spit on the Falcons franchise. That's why. You let him go for basically peanuts, right? And now he's gone to a team that probably can utilize him in a more efficient and effective way. The biggest question mark they have is wide receiver, really. But they have a great offensive line. They have a running back. Matt Ryan's about to go over there and post some numbers that I think people are going to be surprised by.
I agree with that 100. And here's the way I put this is I know I saw my boy Kev in the chat said Matt Ryan is done. He's aging, right? But like one of the things is first, Matt Ryan has played like every game for the last 16 years. Like he is always available. He has been very prolific. Like he always puts up good numbers. Like in fact, you would never. And when I looked at those Falcon teams, he wasn't the worst part of them ever. It was just like you would talk about offensive line. They don't have a defense. Yeah, I mean, he really carried that team in a way. Now he had some receiver, but he didn't really shrink but my real thing, I think the way to think about this is it's like almost a real case study is Phillip Rivers was in a very similar position in his career when he went to the Colts. And I think he played 2 years with the Colts. They made the playoffs once. I think Matt Ryan has more gas in the tank now than Phillip Rivers did when he went to the Colts. So I'll be interested to see a Colts team with a very good defense, a top 10 defense. They had it was at the back of the top 10, but like a 9, 8, 9, 10 type defense. The number one running game in the league. I think the Colts right now are kind of that's my team right now that I would bet on making the playoffs that didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
they
barely missed out last year, I think.
Right,
Mine would still be the Chargers, just because of how low.
Right, but that's the easy answer. That's the easy answer because that's the sexy.
That's a tough division, though.
Yeah,
like they're a good team. That's a tough division they're in.
All right.
Yeah, especially with what Oakland's going to be doing this year with the additions they've made this year. Oakland is about to be a.
All right.
Is it possible to have 3 teams come out of one division now?
It is possible.
Yeah, it is.
It's just hard. Hard.
It's technically possible to have all 4
of them.
All 4 come out of the same division.
There was a year where Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta made it a few years ago with the old playoff
2017.
Style, so I guess it is possible. Yeah.
All right, Baker Mayfield or Daniel Jones?
Baker Mayfield.
Baker. Yeah, Baker, bro.
Yeah,
all right, Baker Mayfield or Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins has proven.
I can say that. I mean, like, I'm okay with that. Like, I would say I think that would be like if we said Baker, it's just us hopeful. Like Kirk Cousins.
I also don't like his throwing motion, but still.
Who?
Kirk
Cousins.
Dude, he has been one of the most consistent QBs in the entire league over the past 10 years.
Man, he puts up numbers. How about this? Baker Mayfield or Jared Goff?
Baker Mayfield.
Boom.
Baker.
All right, Baker Mayfield or Drew Lock?
Baker Mayfield. But Drew Lock, is he really going to be the starter for Seattle, you think?
It's not. It's not going to be no Geno Smith.
I don't know, dude.
I promise. Geno Smith is so old, bro. He is so old. And when you watched him play last year,
I mean, I'm not even worried about that. I'm saying like there's other quarterbacks out there that they could try to go after. I mean, Cam Newton could be an option. They can. I mean, there's some guys on some teams.
As the man, they ain't done nothing yet.
I just don't know that Drew Lock is the guy they're going for.
Trying to think, are there any others that are out there? We did Carson Wentz, we did Trubisky. The only other people you could even say Baker Mayfield or Justin Fields, and I know you're going to say Justin Fields because of his future potential, but right now there's no like on the apples to apples.
Oh, I
right
think
now
Justin
we've
Fields.
named off at least. I mean, that right
Trevor
away
Lawrence.
tells us that Baker Mayfield is a top 20 quarterback.
Based on what we've seen, Baker Mayfield or Trevor Lawrence?
Or you,
Trevor Lawrence.
But then the question, then
Trevor Lawrence,
hold
because
on.
you know he broke the rookie record for yards.
Can we talk about
threw it 9 billion times?
Can we really allow Cody to actually show where he really does value Baker better than Sam Darnold to a pretty major? I bet you the majority of these names we just said we would pick Baker over top of, he wouldn't say the same thing for Sam Darnold.
Ooh.
Wait, so I wouldn't take Sam over.
Would you
Would you
take
take
Sam
Darnold over Daniel Jones?
Oh, no.
No, but I picked Baker over Daniel Jones.
I know. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're saying that Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, you value them equally, but you're saying you would take Baker over Daniel, but you wouldn't take Sam over Daniel, right? The majority of those names we just said we would take Baker over top of, none of us would say we'd take Sam Darnold over top of.
Oh, how about this? Is Sam Darnold or Carson Wentz? Yeah, I know that was a drop the mic point. Like you can go. How about this? Is some chat? The chat's got some good ones too. Baker Mayfield over Tua or Tua.
Oh yeah,
that's a hard one.
It is a hard one.
I think Tua's gotten shit on unnecessarily.
Me too.
I need to.
How about this, dude? I'll go Baker.
Wow.
Just because
Sam Darnold or Tua?
No, but
Sam
just
Darnold
because
Tua.
I think Tua, I think he really has legit injury concerns. Like I don't think that guy is. I think he has legit like health. I mean, you can kind of say the same about Baker, but I really think that he's got some injury problems. But I mean, talent wise, I would rank them about the same if I'm being honest.
There was another one in the chat that said
I saw
Baker or Trey Lance.
Oh, actually,
Trey
the one I
Lance.
saw that I think was better was Baker or Jalen Hurts.
Oh, I think it's Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts does show. He showed
Like,
a
he's
lot of promise last year.
Yeah, and he's only exceeded his expectations. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's been like, oh, Jalen Hurts ain't gonna be that good. Oh, Jalen Hurts is good. They're gonna replace him. Oh, Jalen Hurts, and he's only gone out there and not been the biggest problem on the team.
Did you see enough out of Zach Wilson last year to say Baker over Zach Wilson or Zach Wilson over Baker?
No, how about this? And I know it's really not fair, but like even though it's such a small sample size, other than maybe Matt Jones because they're so similar, I'm taking all of the big four draftable quarterbacks from last year's draft over Baker Mayfield. I think
Right,
that they
because
all have
it's
more
future
talent.
potential, it's
and
upside,
just
it's all
physical
those
ability.
things.
Yeah.
Well, it's just potential. You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't know anything about Trey Lance. We don't know really much about Justin Fields. And to be fair to Justin Fields, he's on a terrible team. He was on a terribly coached team.
Yeah.
He's going to be on the worst team this year. So I don't even, but like I almost feel it's unfair to compare them to an untested quarterback because you're betting on potential. You're banking on that.
All right.
And you just go ahead.
How about this? Baker Mayfield or Kyle Allen?
Baker.
All right. Kyle Allen or Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold over Kyle Allen?
Yeah, what did Kyle Allen ever do?
Way more than
Other
Baker
than-
or than Sam Darnold did.
All right.
in
How about
Carolina.
this? How about this? Kyle
split
Allen
hairs here.
or Gardner Minshew?
Gardner Minshew all day.
Duh.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold or Gardner Minshew?
Gardner Minshew.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield or Gardner Minshew? And the answer
Baker
is
Mayfield.
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew, baby. Oh, shit.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh,
on
I
that one.
love it. I love it. All right,
Hey,
let's go.
hold on. I did see some other ones that I thought were good. What about Kyler Murray?
Come on.
Yeah, Kyler Murray. I mean, it's just not even close.
A lot of people are like really down on Kyler. They think he's a diva. They think he's like not clutch or
They
whatever.
said the same thing about Cam Newton. They say the same thing about any quarterback that wants to, has like, let's be real about it. Lamar Jackson's being in that same category now because he's in a division where somebody just got paid a ridiculous amount of money, i.e. Deshaun Watson, and he's not been paid yet. Right. So I mean, you could say the same thing about him.
My answer to that is that the question is better than I give it credit for.
Yeah.
And what to me is I easily say Kyler Murray, right? Like it's like, oh, I'm like, Kyler Murray. But to be honest, like, is the gap that giant between the two?
And how many playoff wins has Kyler had to this point? Like, has he had more than Baker? I don't know.
How about this? Deshaun Watson or Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield. No.
I can't.
Yeah, just on its surface, without thinking about just the idea of Deshaun Watson now, it repulses me. Unfortunately,
I know. All right. No, we're not. We're not down on Kyler Murray. I mean, but Kyler Murray does have a limitation. It's just kind of throwing over the middle. I mean, that's his limitation right there. And that's
Also
it.
kind of
Like, I mean,
reckless.
yeah.
But so is Baker, for that matter.
Well, so is every quarterback. Half of them, man. They all throw a bunch of picks.
And Teddy Bridgewater.
Right.
Well,
you're right. Not reckless. The opposite. He drove the van up there. The opposite of reckless. All right, let's go to the next goal.
My thoughts are we got to freaking get more pumped up about the fact that we got an upgrade regardless. That's my thoughts.
Thank you. And let's go. He comes back for part 2. Oh, or maybe not. It's just silence. Yeah, I think that's an important thing right there is, and let me see. I think we got one more unless this is 3 minutes of silence. It says no transcript available, so we don't know what he's going to say. Look at that. My man didn't hang up. It just went on. He called us back 3 times. Man, I was so worried, too. Somebody called and spent 7 minutes on the line, too. All right. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We want you to weigh on these questions. We've talked about the competition between Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Matt Corral real, or is it just for show? Should we treat Christian McCaffrey like a regular football player, or should we use kid gloves and Terrence Marshall Jr., the star, the limelight, the spotlight of training camp and the preseason, or will it be Tommy Tremble or someone else? We want to hear your thoughts. We still got a couple of questions to go. The number is 252-228-5098. Next call.
Hey, what's good, fellas? Corey calling in. I'm listening to this past week's show right now. I'm like halfway through it, and I ain't gonna lie, man. Y'all are revved up right now, man. I ain't seen C3 get this. I don't want to say heated, but just passionate about his subject in a while, man. And it's kind of funny, just like a statement of like Baker Mayfield and how polarizing he is, man. He's been on the team less than 2 weeks and he got us acting up already. I just thought that was funny, but Cody, I don't know how you did it, man, but you almost got me sympathizing for Baker right now, man. I'm not gonna lie, you wilding a little bit right now. And
really? Come on, man.
Like, Baker's a mediocre quarterback. I think, like I've been on record saying that. Like I'm standing firm on that. I think he's mediocre. I don't think he's gonna really take this team to the next level. I think we're gonna be better than we were. But that's the whole point, right? Like, people aren't gonna be upset. Like most fans, they want to just be better than what we were, right? Now, if we're talking about getting 7 wins, 8 wins, 9 wins, and at the end of the season, like, Cody, you're not gonna be happy about that. Like, that's your forte, and like I ain't gonna tell you how to think, but it's like everybody else who would be excited about 7, 8, 9 wins with Baker Mayfield, like, we're not fucking, resting on mediocrity or just rewarding like the bare minimum or something. Like, bro, we're ass. We had 5 wins last year. We had 5 wins the year before that. We had 5 wins after winning our first 3 games. We were the laughing stock of the NFL. We've been the laughing stock of the NFL for the last fucking 18 months, man. So like, it ain't about like resting on mediocrity, because no, I'm not gonna be happy with getting 8, 9 wins every single year and just falling into that fucking pit hole. But yeah, getting 8, 9 wins after we had 5 wins, like, it's not that flip is not gonna happen overnight. We're not gonna become a fucking championship contender the year after being terrible. Like, we're not. It just doesn't happen. And we're also not gonna get this franchise saving quarterback in a year's turnaround time either. Like, we have to keep everything in perspective, man. Like, we started a rebuild. We're 3 years into a rebuild that we fucking made the wrong decision almost at every turn. And now Baker Mayfield, I do not think is a long-term answer, but Baker Mayfield can give us 20 passing touchdowns, which we haven't had that in 3 years? I think I'm about to run out of time. I'm gonna have to call back in because I think I got a couple more points.
So you want me to respond now, or you want to let him finish his
go ahead
call?
And respond.
So, Corey, my brother, what I'll say to you is this, man. You have a very similar mindset that a lot of Panther fans do. that, hey, man, we have been down bad, okay? And an 8-win, maybe even a 9-win season, that's feeling pretty damn good right now compared to the shit that we've been through. If that's how you feel, then by all means, dog, don't let me piss in your cornflakes. Be excited about it. What I'm telling you that I am afraid of is that this, let's say we do that. Let's say we win 8-9 games. And then all of a sudden everybody in the organization is like, you know what? That's enough improvement. I think I like what we've got going on here. Let's give Baker another contract. Let's extend Matt Rule, or not extend it, but let's continue to keep him here. And then what actually happens is we figure out the hard way that Baker as a quarterback is good for around 8 to 9 wins a season. And in an NFL where the offenses are becoming more high-powered, more explosive than they ever have before, I'm worried that we're going to get stuck in the same pit of mediocrity that we have been stuck in. If you're just striving to be a middle-of-the-road football team, well, then you know what? You might just get what you asked for.
No, we're not striving to be a middle-of-the-road football team. It's just middle-of-the-road would be so much of it would be double the improvement. When you're talking 8, 9, 10 wins, that's double. That's like 100% growth. Imagine if our podcast grew 100. Oh wait, it did.
But is it enough?
But I want to go back to this, and I think it's less with Baker, man. I don't think it's Baker. I think it's that it would be Matt Rule. The threat of Matt Rule, to me, is the scary part. And I said this a few weeks ago on Pirate Radio. Go on Fridays, the Pirate Radio, and they ridiculed. They went crazy. They just said, you're just speaking with your emotions too much. And I said, I'm worried about us getting 10, 11 wins and keeping Matt Rule and stumbling into the 10 or 11 wins rather than really getting the wins.
Right.
And what I mean by that is that we won in spite of Matt Rule, not because of Matt Rule. And that it just elongates the Matt Rule era. Because, I mean, to be honest, if we go and win 10 or 11 games this year, 12, say you had the best season ever, 12 games, who we putting that on? We're going to say this. We're going to say Baker Mayfield. We're going to say Ben McAdoo. We're going to say James Kent, like all these other coaches. The person at the bottom of the list of credit will be Matt Rule, except for the one thing we do need to give Matt Rule credit for is he really changed directions this year. He said this, is I tried it my way or whatever way I thought was the way. And he said, fuck it, man. I'm firing all these bitches. I'm getting real NFL dudes up in there. So I will give Matt Rule. I'll tell you this, Matt Rule will take a L. He will take the L on his face and say, you know what? I was wrong on that. And now I'm going a different direction. But I just don't feel, if we're a 12-win team this year, I don't just all of a sudden go, oh, Matt Rule is the coach of the future. I think it almost tricks us. It's like a sleight of hand into making us think that. And they ridicule me for that. And I say this, is I will take 12 wins no matter what, even if that means keeping Matt Rule. I will measure or temper my perspective on that. Like, I'll take 10 wins.
Can I ask Cody a question here? Would you would you rather have Baker Mayfield play this year and win us 9-10 games, and then we trade him and start Matt Corral,
or just cut him,
or just cut him
to trade him,
or have Matt Corral start this year and likely win probably 4 or 5 games? Not saying he's a terrible quarterback, but rookie quarterback coming into a
and Matt Rule be fired, and Matt Corral never exist as a Panther.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that last part is true. I think if you have a quarterback, so for example, look at Justin Herbert
think Matt
or
Corral
Trevor
can
Lawrence.
win more games than Baker Mayfield? Let me ask you that.
No.
Dude, I'm gonna sound crazy because I have no evidence, but yeah, I believe in his upside more than I do Baker. And by the way, like okay, can we also say that Matt Jones? Okay, he went to the Pro Bowl last year. In his rookie season, he went to the Pro Bowl. Now, let me ask you this: is Matt Jones just that damn good, or was he playing for the Patriots?
But they said he was the most pro-ready quarterback. That's what they continue to tell
maybe
us
so.
last year.
But I'm saying he could be the most pro-ready quarterback ever. He ain't doing that shit on the Jaguars. He ain't doing that on the Dolphins. He's not doing that on the Jets. That's my point here.
Yeah,
I
but
would
that's
rather.
how you can say that for every player.
All I'm saying is,
And
I
he had
would
Bill
rather.
Belichick as the coach.
I would rather Matt Corral get some legitimate playing time this season. That way, we can see some of the things that he's good at. We can see what his deficiencies are. See what the things that he needs to work on actually are. And then you know what kind of player you have to build around for the future. And by the way, the adverse is also true. If Matt Corral is absolutely terrible, wouldn't you want to know that now rather than, let's say we have Baker for another year. He's good this year, and then we don't re-sign him and we move on to Matt Corral. We might not have any idea if Matt Corral is ready to step up and take the starting job. At least Trey Lance last year for the 49ers got to take some starting reps after Jimmy Garoppolo went down hurt. So, yeah, even though I don't have evidence, even
like 8 starting reps.
I was
Come
gonna say,
on,
yeah,
man.
did Rodgers
it's
take
more
any
than
starting snaps
nothing, and it's
before
starting
Rodgers?
in the NFL. Like at least,
Yeah,
and he
you're
had
up.
he did show some good stuff. By the way, shout out to our last donation. No message, but $5. Chris Mickey with the 5. Appreciate you, sir. CK, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna make a point. I agree with some of that, but I want to focus more because obviously this call was talking a little bit about, or some of the people in chat even are talking about the coaching, right? Like the coaching. A lot of people were saying the coaching was bad, right? Let me ask you a question. I know the idea that Matt Rule is going to be sticking around. This is something that I wanted to segue into anyway, right? We believe that Matt Rule has a process, right? Whether it works or not is a question. Now, if we take a carbon copy of Matt Rule's first 2 years and combine it to what we saw with Ron Rivera's first 2 years, right? It looks very similar. The difference being, if Ron Rivera didn't have the benefit of the Cam Newton, Ron Rivera might not have gotten the wins on the 3rd year, 4th year, right? Now, we haven't had that luxury of having the Cam Newton type player to be able to come in here and play yet. They've tried every which way they can, but we haven't had that at this point in time. So, is Matt Corral going to be that guy that's going to come in here and save Matt Rule's job? I don't know. But I also know that the first 2 years don't indicate what type of coach a coach is. As much as we hate Matt Rule for what we've seen the first 2 years, there's a lot of question marks. We had a lot of the same question marks around Ron Rivera's first 2 years, and we saw that turn around. So it's possible for us to be able to say, hey, Baker Mayfield, if he saves Matt Rule's job, great, right? Especially if it turns out that Matt Rule can be a good quarterback and sustain success in this league.
I think there's like all of these partial good arguments, right? One thing is that we were all ready to fire Ron Rivera after 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was ready, and it was 2013 with that 12-4, and it was just all defense. And Dave Gettleman came in; it was dope. But here's the thing: I don't like the comparison and this is where I'm going to push back on Cody about the Mac Jones comparison. Is that Mac Jones went to a organization where the head coach is a Hall of Fame head coach. The offensive coordinator is thought to be a brilliant dude who got a head coaching position. So they have the luxury of going 6-7 wins with a rookie, and even the rookie not looking fantastic, but showing enough promise. If Corral comes out and shows some promise, but doesn't win enough games to keep Matt Rule's job, it don't matter.
Right.
The next coach, all of that aren't going to give a fuck. They're not going to latch themselves to that. And that's just what I'm saying is that, like,
Even
if
if he
that
shows promise?
argument holds true, if the coach is in a secure position, and Matt Rule is the most insecure person. I mean, like, not insecure, like, but he's on the hot seat. So, like, you have that luxury if you are a head coach, if you're a Sean Payton, or if you're even look at Trey Lance and Shanahan, right? It's like if Shanahan if Trey Lance comes out and is bad and they regress a few games, you're not gonna go, oh, we got to fire Shanahan, we got to start over. But that's what's going to happen in Carolina. So I think for Matt Corral, I think Baker Mayfield might be the only thing is like Baker Mayfield's got a lot of jobs to save, right? A lot of jobs to save. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Let's go to, we're going to come back to Corey in just a second, part 2 of his call. We're going to go to Connor.
Hey guys, it's me, Connor. I'm
What's up,
calling
Connor?
in tonight, and I mean, obviously there's not a bunch of news going around, but I just want to say how amazed, how should I put this? Like, how cool it's going to look to see the Panthers, black helmet, black jersey, and black pants on a black evening, most likely, on Thursday night evening, which, by the way, I'm planning on going to that game. I'm just so excited for that. I wish that they'd make that helmet their main helmet. But, yeah, so, again, not a lot on my mind tonight. Of course, Baker Mayfield. And something that I would like to say is I almost feel like there's going to be a bigger competition between Baker Mayfield and Matt Corral than there is Baker Mayfield and Sam Goff. However, that competition is already essentially over. But yeah, but another thing that I wanted to say is, man, get me on the Tuesday show. And I'm gonna come on and be on the Tuesday show. I wanna voice my opinion a bit more. I wanna get on the Tuesday show. So yeah, I can put my Discord in the chat if you want me to. But yeah,
all right,
see you later. I guess.
Connor Slays, the Young Bucks, man. I feel like this is I would love for Connor and Noah to do a Young Guns podcast for C3. Yeah. That shit would be dope. All right, the number's 252-228-5098.
Hey, hold on real quick.
Oh. What's up, y'all? Part 2.
Yep.
All right, sorry. That's all.
All right.
He requested I do it. So.
And Connor, we're mad hype about those. I think the hex is gone. The black on black on black is where it's at. You know I'm superstitious, Cody. I've said them black. We did these blackout. They'd be like, "Oh, let's black out the Bank of America," and it'd be like everybody wears black except for the fucking Carolina Panthers themselves with the stupid silver helmets. Now, finally, they're blacking it out. We're blacking it out. Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. All right, let's go to the next call.
What's up, y'all? Part 2 of Corey's call. Basically, like Baker he's not the long-term answer. I do not believe so. I think our best case scenario really is him coming in this year, showing, some kind of promise, doing okay, like maybe replicating what he did statistically wise, maybe 25, 28 touchdowns, interceptions of the teams, realistically speaking, and we win some games, more games than whatever. I'm not even going to put a number on it because, like I said, 5 wins, like that's what we've seen, right? So Baker, has kind of like this quote unquote bounce back year. We give him a franchise tag and, see where we're going from there because I don't think he can prove himself to be our franchise savior in 1 year. I just don't think that's realistically possible. Just because he's not going to have that type of year, I don't think. But to say I'm not going to fall into mediocrity, but this shit doesn't turn around overnight. Like Baker Mayfield is going to give us something that we haven't had. Like Teddy Bridgewater had 12 touchdowns. Sam Darnold had 12 touchdowns. Like, bro, it's going to be we're going to watch games this year and we're going to have our ups. We're going to have our downs. Baker's going to throw picks. We're going to lose games we should have won. We're going to be in games that we shouldn't have been in. I feel like this year is going to be more exciting to at least watch the game. And yeah, to know, all right, we're not a fucking championship contender with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, but I mean, damn, you know what I'm saying? Can we at least have some pride in being fans and say all right, we're building towards something, because that's what a rebuild is, man. And to say that Matt Corral, if he starts this year, he's not going to take us to the promised land either. He's going to be bad.
You don't know that.
He's not going to come in and light the NFL on fire. I'm sorry, Cody, it's just not going to fucking happen. It's more likely that Baker Mayfield comes in and has a Baker Mayfield year than Matt Corral comes in.
3 calls. We can stop you early.
What he said.
Look, I just want to start by saying I understand you're going to throw out the statistics of a 3rd-round quarterback coming in his rookie season and being very good. They're pretty damn slim, so you might as well bet against it. Okay, dude. Well, literally every quarterback that has come in as a rookie and did play well had that very same assessment attached to them. The point being is you don't know until you know.
Give me an example.
Okay, how about Justin Herbert recently? How about Russell Wilson?
Justin Herbert wasn't a third-round pick.
No, I'm talking about a quarterback. But all right, for the independent of the round.
That doesn't work.
But
No,
you
I'm
can't say
saying
the round is a
independent of the-
big deal, man. You
Yeah,
can't
because
say
most quarterbacks that are coming out now, they don't want them to start. It doesn't matter who you're talking about.
That's not true.
But think about how many teams
every
passed on
quarterback that comes out.
Yeah. I mean, other than
Point being, you're talking about other men who couldn't do it and saying, well, they couldn't do it, so Matt Corral is definitely going to do it. Either.
Look, no one is saying that it's not possible. What we are
just
saying
unlikely.
is improbable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is that like it's not possible. I mean, it's not impossible to hit a hard 8 or a hard 10 on the craps table, but it's unlikely, right? The odds are just again. So yes, there is a world where Matt Corral stuns us. Yes, there is a world where Tom Brady, a 6th-round pick, becomes a Hall of Famer, but it's not the most probable world. And then on top of that, I think that the best comparison, the one that you probably would use, is Russell Wilson, 3rd round. Somebody that
Davis Mills, shout out to Matt Knows Nothing in the chat.
I don't know. You know what? Is Davis Mills? They're looking to replace him already.
No, they're not. They would have done so this year. They really like what they have in Davis Mills. Remember, I write for the Texans on Draft Tech.
I
so
know you.
I try and keep my.
But you're saying this: they would have picked that quarterback in the 1st round this year, where everybody tells us there wasn't a real quarterback, top pick quarterback. Like if you had the 1st pick, nobody would have picked the quarterback anyway. So I don't believe that. And the last, I just want to circle back.
Then I want to say one more thing.
I want to circle back to this, is to put it when it comes to Russell Wilson, who was the coach, who was the GM. Like it's a different situation. That's all I'm saying, is that this is like, was Josh Rosen really that bad? Or is he part victim of circumstance? And I think he probably is that bad. I'm not trying to argue that Josh Rosen got completely hosed. But, like, you were in a situation where Steve Wilkes had, like, they already were writing it all off. So, like, what Matt Corral would have to do, not only is it improbable that he would be pretty good, but it's also super improbable that he would achieve what it would take to save everybody, including himself and Matt Rule. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine what you would truly have to show to a new coach that they're willing to really ride with you. I mean, it's just like the odds are so long. I mean, it's just like buying a lotto ticket. Yeah, you can win.
This is the last point that we disagree on. If Matt Corral were to start this year, and he did actually show some upside, but let's say we still don't make the playoffs, you guys are acting like it's some foregone conclusion that whoever the next head coach is, Matt Corral is out the door. Nah, we're definitely moving on. You don't know that.
Yeah, because you have a top 5 pick, and you're going to pick the best quarterback.
You're going to go with Stroud at that point in time, right?
Yeah.
You're right, Cody.
We
don't know that because we have nothing to base it off of. But in the same light, you don't know Matt Corral is going to be a good NFL quarterback because we have nothing to base it off of.
Right.
The only thing you can compare this to is Baker Mayfield has NFL experience, and we've seen him succeed. The only other thing you can compare these two players at is their college level play. Baker Mayfield was a better college player. So the only evidence I have to look at this, I have to say, it's why I can't understand your passion with Matt Corral. I get what you're saying, and Tony's right. There is a possibility it can happen, but there's not even a shred of evidence that leads me to believe that.
For Corral, and he saw some traits. He saw that quick release. He saw, and he sees. It's just like this. It's like looking at the young 21-year-old. It's like being the married guy and looking at the 21-year-old hottie.
But
and they just look sexy on the outside, and
they completely diminishing what my point even actually is. It's that I don't care if he is or isn't a world beater in his first year. Other rookie quarterbacks have had to start, have even had bad seasons, and then went on to turn it around. And you know what?
Completely
And you know
missing
what?
my point.
And you know what? They were better for that bad rookie
You're
season.
completely missing my point. They were in a place where there was some sort of stability, where their failure was not a failure of the organization. You know what I'm saying? Like if Mac Jones wins 6 games, what 7 games, he goes to the Pro Bowl. Come on, shut the fuck up.
Right.
If he does that with imagine if he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars and did that, he wouldn't go to the Pro Bowl. He might not even be what I'm saying is that the situation that Matt Corral in, it might be unfair. Like if Matt Corral was with Jim Harbaugh, then I would say, okay, that makes sense. But there's a likelihood that no one is on this team tomorrow if things go bad.
How does Matt Rule and Baker make more sense, though?
I think Baker Mayfield has the opportunity to save Matt Rule's job and potentially Matt Corral's future with the Carolina Panthers. Not Matt Corral's future as a player, but Matt Corral's future with the Panthers. Yeah. And then the final, I have one other point, and I just slipped my mind. We were talking about, that was it. All right, let's go to the next call.
No, I have one more
thing to say. Go ahead.
To Cody's defense, right? The idea that he loves Matt Corral the way that he does is similar to the same with little evidence, right? There's not a lot of evidence that you can put into it other than, there's a feeling, right? Cody has a feeling about him. And I think we all can be a bit optimistic about what we've seen from film from Matt Corral, right? Mm-hmm. But is this not the exact same thought with Gardner Minshew that you have, Tony? Like you have this thought that Gardner Minshew is a great quarterback, right? I don't think you think he's elite, but you also have this love for him that he has no real, there is nothing that really indicates that he is going to be a successful quarterback in this league.
Oh, nah, go look at his stats, bro. First of all, seventh rate. Pull up Gardner Minshew's stats for me, and I will give you a case.
Didn't we all see? We were all at that Jaguars
He was on a terrible, terrible fucking team. And the point is, he was drafted in the 6th or 7th round. Like he's an outsider. Like I'm not saying that you should bet your franchise on it, but the whole point is I think and the last thing is, look, I'm wearing the ECU shirt right now. He played for ECU for like 5 minutes, and he has this great swag and style. So I love him. But I do remember the point I want to make, and that is, Cody, I agree with you a lot on some of this, but I don't think Baker's the problem. I think Sam Darnold's the problem. I think we need to cut Sam Darnold and just make it Baker Mayfield and Matt Corral. Yeah. And how about this? Is have a real competition then. Is that all right? Let's say Matt Corral looks like he is this fucking phenom, and he beats Baker out, which I don't think would happen, but okay. But if Baker gets hurt, then it puts Matt Corral in a position to where he could come in there and kind of show you what he's got without you putting all of your apples in that basket or whatever. But the problem now is that you have this muddled fucking thing, and I think Sam Darnold's a problem. I don't think it's Baker Mayfield.
I agree with you, Tony. I said on Twitter, if the Panthers figure out some way to offload Sam Darnold, and it was just Baker and Matt Corral, dude, I wouldn't say one more negative thing about this Baker Mayfield trade.
You just do it. You just roll with it. Let's just roll.
If they released him, would you not have a negative thing to say about it, though? Because then we're eating that salary regardless.
Dude,
I don't care. We're eating it anyway. We're eating it, make him be a backup. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and that was always my reason for wanting. That was always my reason for wanting Sam Darnold to start. Not because I like Sam Darnold, but because to me he represented a shorter bridge to seeing Matt Corral play football.
Right. And I understand that point too. That's why we were not necessarily for trading for Baker.
Right.
Hit me up, Bat Daddy. Tell him. Give him the Baker fucking drip. I mean, not the Baker, the Gardner drip.
Same.
First year, 14 games, 91% QBR, which is fantastic. 72, 71 yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That's a damn good year.
Is that more than Baker?
He was
That's a damn good year.
He was drafted in the 6th fucking round and played for
Hold on.
Jacksonville.
Hold on. How many touchdowns did he have in 14 games?
In 14 games, 21.
Okay, so that's less than 2 per game, right?
But that's more than Sam Darnold
my
had.
look at the ratio.
Hold on.
My point for that is he was never asked to be the guy. He had the best defense in the league that year.
No, he did not.
He did.
The Jaguars did not
the
have
Jaguars. Yes, they did. They were called Saxonville.
Saxonville, yeah. That was the year
that
they went to the
when
NFC
they went to
Championship,
the
wasn't it?
Super Bowl.
No, that was
the year.
That was the year
They
they won
won
the
3
championship and
games
lost
that
to
year, bro. They
No.
can't have the best defense and win 3 games.
They went to the playoffs. Or no, that was Tannehill's year. My
No,
bad.
yeah,
Or not
yeah,
Tannehill, but,
that was before that.
Bortles.
They did not have a good team. All
Well,
right,
you're
next.
Listen to this. Second year, he only played 9 games, 66% completion rating, a 95 QBR, 251 yards a game, 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Pretty good for 9 games. The touchdown
9
interception
games.
ratio is nice. I like this.
Yeah.
And then his third year, he played 4 games. He had 439 yards in 4 games, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. So I
Dude,
mean, he
we're
has
talking-
pretty deep. You can win a Super Bowl with that. You know,
Told y'all. Gardner Minshew, and he got drip, baby. He walks up in that mug and he looking.
Hey,
all
does he have more
drab.
touchdowns than Baker did?
Not his. Well, first of all,
how many did Baker have when they went to the playoffs?
30 maybe. Baker had to set the record. He had 30 his rookie season, but he was also the #1 pick, but also on a terrible team. So we'll give him that. But like, there is a difference between a guy stepping in who nobody thought was going to do it and do it versus the guy that was given everything and doing it.
But can't you also but my point with that situation is saying like that Cody wanting Matt Corral to start is a reach is the exact same reason why you would want Gardner Minshew to play, right? Gardner Minshew beat those odds as well, right? It's okay to
But guess where he starts for? You
Nobody.
don't start for nobody. That's the
Right.
problem. It's like he actually did what Cody wanted him to do. Imagine that. That's like Matt Corral coming. Imagine read that first year stat line again. If Matt Corral comes out next year as a rookie and plays in 14 games and has Rita's
32, 71 yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 66% completion rate, and a 91.2 QBR.
Like if you had Matt Corral and did that, if he threw over 3,000 yards, had a 3-1 touchdown rating, and a 91 QBR, you'd be like, oh, he's the future of the motherfucking shit. But Gardner Minshew is a bum to y'all. All right, the number is 252-228-5090. And you know what? He is.
He's super.
Man, you know what I mean? Like, look, I'm not saying that Gardner Minshew is the fucking savior. I'm just saying this is like, I like certain players that go.
Yeah. Well, you realize they might have kept him if they didn't have a chance to draft.
Yeah, the
Trevor
Jaguars are always going to do not stupid shit, but just like radical shit. You know what I'm saying? They have the #1 pick. If you have the #1 pick, you're going Trevor Lawrence. You ain't going to stick with Gardner Minshew.
So, by the way, as Bat Daddy points out, read that Baker thing.
Baker in 2020, you were asking, had 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and a 95.6 QBR.
Like,
that's like barely better.
With 35.63. That's what I'm saying. You can win with that. What's wrong with that? That's winnable football, dude. I don't understand what's wrong with that. That is,
I don't know
that is
if you
3
guys
times better than what we've had in the last 4 years in Carolina.
That's good. And stop shitting on my boy. Stop shitting on the dude with the drip.
There's no
Gardner
shitting on him.
Can.
My point for that statement was to say it's okay for Cody to want to be having Matt Corral be the starter for this team right now.
You must hate him. It's not okay.
But it will get just like it did for Gardner Minshew. It won't be enough to get you the job. It just won't.
I don't know that's true.
It didn't work in Jacksonville.
It
didn't work in. It didn't work anywhere else.
It worked. It worked in Dallas. It's worked in Seattle with Russell Wilson. It's worked in plenty of places.
If Tony Romo doesn't get injured that year, Dak Prescott's probably still not Tony Romo's probably retiring this year.
Right, but
Dak
guess
Prescott's
who?
just starting. So
Guess who they decided to go with all the way through the year, even when Tony Romo was healthy. They kept Dak Prescott in the game. They didn't take him out to let Tony Romo
because
play.
he started out so great. I mean, he was like
Dak
11
is
and
big.
2
All right,
or
let's go
whatever.
to the next call. That's
Yeah.
a good conversation. Good
It
conversation. Numbers 252-228-5098.
My podcast brothers, how y'all doing, man? It's G
What up,
Cavassier.
G?
I know it's been a while, man. It's been a
Yeah, how you
while.
been,
I've
bro?
been busy, man. I've been really busy. Hey, just to start things off, man, I am happy for the Baker Mayfield trade. I mean, I am, and I went to Twitter and read all the posts and everything like that. One thing is pissing me off, man. I'm sick and tired of us Panther fans always wishing for the worst. They're saying, "Oh, he's gonna suck," and we're not gonna get more than 6 wins or 7 wins and 8 wins the most. Can y'all just please stop it and give this dude a damn chance, man? They're like, come on, man. We need to wish for the damn best. That's what the hell I'm damn doing, man. You know what I'm saying? I really do believe that we're gonna make some noise this year.
I got a
I
question.
really damn do, man. To me, Baker is a fucking dog, man. He is, man. And you know the way I look at it, and this is just the crazy G Cavassier. Tom Brady went to a new team, won the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford went to a new team, won the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield, I don't know, man. You know, I mean, if the light shines on Carolina, that would be something, wouldn't it? But I see us doing pretty good, man. Keep pounding, y'all.
Sam Darnold went to a new team.
So, okay, look, I have a question for you. Is it your obligation as a fan? And by the way, legit question. I literally want to know. Is it your job as a fan of a football team to always look at the glass half full?
No, I don't think. I think it's important to be realistic, but I think as a fan, it's important to want your team to be to cheer for your team, to cheer for them to win. Like when you show up to a game, you should be cheering for your team to win, even if you know they don't. They're not going to. I think as a fan, it's your responsibility to still be cheering for them to win.
Because, like, couldn't I make the argument that if you took G's call right there, took out Baker Mayfield, and input Sam Darnold, like that call might as well be from last year, right? And it would be the exact same.
And that's how
thing.
we were last year until we
right,
won.
But that's okay.
We get
so
to be like that until we're not.
Okay, so am I such a bad fan, and are fans like me such a bad fan for saying everything that I have seen looks like every move the Panthers have made the last 2 years and haven't been successful with? Does that make me a bad fan for saying that? It not only does it look like that and feel like that, but I'm not going to give out any praise until I see that this isn't that.
I don't want to say a bad fan because I don't like gatekeeper fans. Right. Like I do get irritated with gatekeeper. I think that your attitude is okay to have. And like I think it's kind of like a necessary, right? It's like you need pessimists to balance out optimists, right? Like you need that is that kind of counterweight, the yin and the yang to everything. So I don't think that criticism by default it means you're a bad fan. Like I don't think if you say negative or you disagree or if you don't like, I've disliked players, I've disliked, you know what I mean? Like, but I do think rooting. Unless you are trying to frame it in the idea that like our short-term failure could lead to long-term success, that's the only. But like if you're rooting against the Panthers, like at some point the longevity of that argument has to go that you're not a fan of the Panthers. Like I mean, like at what point? Like how long is it? Like 3 years later, and you're still rooting against them, and you're like, oh well, you're clearly a Falcons fan, Dick.
There's a clear differentiation between actively rooting against someone. Like it'd be one thing if I'm like, I don't want Baker to win a game, and I want the first pick in the draft, and
that's
I want him to
shatter
his, and I want him to tear his ACL
like that's what
in the
you've been
first
saying
game
the whole time.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Because you're so passionate.
My saying is this is a trap that lures us into everlasting mediocrity.
No,
And that's all
no.
the Panthers have ever known.
Right.
And that's why I take such a strong stance about Baker Mayfield. If the dude
That's why we
balls
need
out,
you. No, that's why we need that voice. We need that voice in the room. We don't need to live in an echo chamber when it comes. Like, I mean, think about with politics. That's like one of the big problems with politics. It's like you entirely agree with me or you're the enemy.
Right.
So we don't need you to. But I will say that, like, this is the kind of time we can be optimistic about Baker. This is the time like you said last year, we were trying to find reasons to believe in Sam. And guess what? We said this is like we were hopeful for Sam Darnold that it's going to work. He's going to be in a different place and different. And then we said, you know what? But we ain't holding on to that. I think it would be more insane for you to hold on to that idea than it would be. So I think you should allow people to have optimism and allow people to be pessimistic.
And the difference here,
I'm a jilted lover.
Yeah, the difference here, and I think again, I'm riding the fence a lot on these conversations because I'm going back and forth with the argument, right? The difference here in the Sam Darnold argument, right? Last year we were optimistic. We were like, oh, Sam Darnold never really got an opportunity, things like. We've seen Baker be successful. Like it's happened. And now you can argue that it hasn't been consistent. That's fine. Not many rookies not many people on their first contract are super uber consistent over their entirety of their entire thing. But his first year, he did really well as a rookie. His second year, he had a down year. His 2020 year, he had a fantastic year. Last year, he had a down year. You can argue the injuries had something to do with it. I don't really know how much that played a part into it. So the idea of, even if you compare the two, at least we have an avenue of success that Baker has been able to put on film, right? We never had that with Sam Darnold.
Yes.
So the level, our reason for optimism for Sam Darnold came purely out of maybe he just never got a chance. Maybe he just never got a chance. That was our optimism, right? And it was like we wanted that to be the case. We wanted to be able to say, Sam Darnold, we fixed him. Like that was going to be our like, and if we could do it for a second round pick, that was just a nothing. That was nothing to be able to get a franchise quarterback. Clearly, it didn't work, and it was a stupid decision in hindsight, right? Baker Mayfield
or it just
offers
didn't
a lot
work.
more upside.
Maybe it's not stupid. Maybe it just didn't work. And it's kind of like this: is like you go buy that $1 scratch-off ticket, and it says you can win $1 million or $10,000. Like it always advertises the top prize. Like we bought the $1 ticket and only thought about the $10 million payout. We didn't think of that. Oh, a $1 ticket is probably a loser, number one, and number two, like the best it will do is $2.
Well, the main thing is you got to take a shot at some point in time. I think the is just Cody just doesn't like the idea of what we're going with, and that's fine.
Right.
But you've got to take a shot at some point in time. What happens to a UFC fighter if they're afraid to take a punch? They're going to lose every fight, right?
What if
sometimes you're going to take it? You're going to take it on the chin, man, and you're going to make the wrong decision. But you've got to make a decision. And this was
the funny thing is I think Cody's fear right now, he knows if Sam Darnold's here,
up on Cody.
If Sam Darnold's here, he knows Matt Corral is going to have an opportunity to start this year. He knows that, right? I think Cody knows that with Baker Mayfield on the roster, there is a chance Matt Corral never sees the field this year,
right?
And I think there is so the thought that these two, like, again, to say that they're equal, that Sam Darnold is the same as Baker Mayfield, I think Cody really knows that Baker Mayfield is a step above and potentially much better than Sam Darnold. But that also leads the idea of Matt Corral not really getting a chance this year to be able to prove what he's done. And I think that's where, again, similar to what we've done with Teddy Bridgewater, right? Cody has, and we all, we let ourselves, and I think we all did, and Cody more so than most, fell in love with Matt Corral because we thought he was the future for the Panthers. And then you trade for Baker Mayfield, and now everybody sees there's maybe another alternative. And I think Cody's just, like that. I think that, and again, Cody, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that rage and frustration falls back on Baker's, maybe even unwarranted. Like if we didn't have Matt Corral on the roster, I think you would probably be a little bit more happy about this.
Yeah, but like I said, if they were able to figure out a way to get rid of Sam Darnold, then I'm back to being just as happy as I was before, right? Like it honestly, for me, it goes back to when we failed to build around Cam, the
Mm-hmm.
proper offensive line. Then we let Cam go the wrong way. And the last 2 years have been just absolute trash
Yeah, I know.
at the
It's been
quarterback
terrible.
position.
Just
And then,
fumbling and
like,
fumbling.
I see everybody trying to pretend that Baker Mayfield isn't that. And maybe he isn't, dude. If I'm wrong, guys, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that you can all clown me until the end
We
of my
will.
days.
We
And he's
are.
a
We're gonna
franchise
clown you.
quarterback. But, dude, until then, I have not seen a shred of
I think
evidence
we used the
that he
word
is not the exact same thing that we have been doing year in and year out.
I think the franchise quarterback statement is kind of a cop out. It's like you're either the greatest or you can't work.
No,
and it's like
I want
almost
a
like this.
franchise
If we went to the
quarterback.
bar and there were a couple of girls and there was one who was just out of our league, like long shot to take home, and you're like, I'm either taking her home or I ain't taking nobody home. But then there's a
Dude.
couple of like
No,
7s and
dude.
8s are probably incredible in bed.
No, dude. I'm very
Like,
different with
it's
my
like that's
quarterbacks.
not a loss. That's not a
Dude,
loss.
I'm
The
different with my
franchise, you'd be like, is that
quarterbacks.
a franchise lay? That's what I'm like. How about that? Is that a franchise lay? Oh, all right. The
No,
number is
dude.
252-228.
I've accepted some
We still got some
backups in
questions
my
to get through. We
time.
gotta go. We're gonna go through the next call. Next call.
Hey, boys. It's today, Tuesday. I know you guys hopefully have a show going on tonight. Baby Rhino here, Jamestown.
What's up,
Again,
Ryan?
I've been on vacation trying to catch up, but I'm sure there's been plenty of talk about this Baker Mayfield signing. It's been all over the news everywhere. I know that the last time I called in, I stated that it'd be stupid if we did it, but we did it. So that was the first thing I wanted to comment on. I'm okay with it. I hope he does what we need him to do. But second of all, most importantly, I know about a month or so ago you guys talked about helmets. So what you boys think about the new helmet release? Looks awesome. Can't wait to see all of that in black and then some. So those are the kind of small things I think you guys are talking about to keep our fans happy and kind of excited. So I hope that's done that for you guys too. Again, thanks for all you all do every day, week in, week out. Everybody smash that thumbs up button, please.
Hey.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you on the flip side.
Appreciate that, Rhino. Appreciate that love, man. Yeah, we've already talked about it. We love the helmets, and that's just further proof. We have not heard one person in our chat room or on Twitter or in the cat calls that has a negative thing to say about these black helmets.
Right.
They're fire, man. They are aesthetically the best thing maybe that the Panthers have ever done. Well, I would say maybe changing the logo when they streamlined the logo in 2012, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I was a big fan of that. But other than that, this has just been, dude, the helmets are so perfect for us, man. Love it. Love it, love it,
All
love
right.
it.
Next call.
All right, look, check this out. This is Corey calling in for the third time, but look, check this out.
God,
All right, I got
Corey,
the
you better
perfect
be a patron.
analogy or metaphor, whatever. We're talking about comparing our quarterback room to foods. Baker Mayfield, okay, he's a 10-piece McNugget meal, all right? Now, he's a 10-piece McNugget meal from McDonald's. People talk a lot of shit. They may get a lot of hate. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going to ever be the best thing you ever had in your life. But if you know what you're doing when you know what you're getting into when you go get into it, it can satisfy you. You don't want to have it every day, right? But if you just need something, you don't want to spend more than a few bucks on it, for sure. Like you say, it can get you where you need to go, but you definitely don't want to take your lady out to go get it. She's not going to get excited about it. Not for no special occasion, and you know what I'm saying? Definitely not when, you know what I'm saying, the lights are the brightest. You know, it ain't that. Right? Matt Corral is that fucking pasta recipe that you've seen on Pinterest or Instagram that you haven't tried out yet, but you want to try it out and it could be bomb as fuck. Or you could potentially fuck it up and just ruin dinner for everybody and end up going to get McDonald's. Right? So you don't know. The jury's up in the air, but you know, there's a lot that can be done here. And even if you don't get it right maybe the first time, you still got, you know, you can work and get better at it. You can try it out. You're new. Sam Darnold is those fucking gag jelly beans that look like real jelly beans, but when you bite into it, it tastes like a fart. Like, shit looks good. You know what I'm saying? The physical traits are there. You know what I'm saying? You might even start out thinking, oh, okay. And then it's the worst thing you ever tasted in something like. But yeah, let me know what y'all think, man. Appreciate y'all.
The popcorn jelly bean always makes me feel weird. It's like, wow, that really tastes like popcorn. It's fucking a mind fuck. Next call.
Hey, what's good, Panthers family? This is C3 family. This is Gibbs, aka Notorious GIB. Look
What's
me
up,
up on
Gibbs?
Twitter, you guys. Love the podcast. Just have some opinions really quick. I was thinking about this Baker Mayfield. I've been hearing people talk about Baker, and I'm sitting back listening. I understand people's opinions on this matter, but I just think some people are spoiled by Cam Newton. He's he's the greatest QB in Panthers history. But you got to think back at the days of Chris Winkie, Jimmy Clausen. These guys didn't only suck; they just sucked the life out of the franchise. And I think those are two different type of quarterbacks or personnel. These guys made it very hard to watch a football game.
Yep.
And I think Sam Darnold's in that category. And I also think I just have flashbacks of those days. I think Baker Mayfield gives us that edge that we need. And this man has something to prove. He doesn't have to win for the Panthers. He's not winning for the Panthers. He's winning for Baker Mayfield. If he has a great year, he's going to get a big contract. So this is bigger than the Panthers. And that's why I think there's going to be more success with Baker, especially than Sam Darnold. I think this is going to be a fun year. I think he's going to surprise some people. But he's not that bad QB that we've experienced in the past. And I can say that with confidence. But this is one of the things I wanted to discuss. But, Baker as a person, not concerned about that. He has that edge to him. He's going to, good, bad, but he has a fire to him. I have no problem with that. But this is personal, like I said. So it's going to be one of those things where I just think it's going to be a fun year. Just wanted to chime in on that. But you guys have a good night.
The call of the night for me, and I'm going to tell you why, is that I, as I did this podcast for so long as I've been, I used to call it sharpening my Twitter sword for Cam Newton. Like, I would defend Cam Newton against everything, and it became so ridiculous, the attacks that came at him, that then I ended up even defending him in moments that didn't need defending, that were indefensible. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like this, is like I had to. And the reason I say this is my man, the caller, put his finger on the pulse on something that I have said for a long time. And that is, you can criticize Cam Newton for like overthrowing a layup or missing this, like for his negatives. We can talk about the negatives, but so many times we overlook the positives. And like Cam Newton, I always said was this, is like y'all take for granted when you have a quarterback and and he is the shit, like you believe in him and you don't got to worry about this conversation we're having right now. Like, the land of having a quarterback is way cooler than the land of not having a quarterback.
Dude, it's night and day difference.
I mean, and when we had Cam, we lived in a land that we believe we had a quarterback. And you would say, yeah, is the offensive line gonna be good? Is he gonna be healthy? Is this, you say all this, but you never went, oh, we don't believe in him.
Right.
And
it's like having a good job. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have no problem saying that I am spoiled on this issue. Yeah. That's
not.
exactly
Imagine if you
what
were
I
a Green
want.
Bay fan.
Dude,
Imagine if
that
you were a
is
Green Bay
exactly
fucking fan. They had Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers.
They're gonna be hurting when Aaron Rodgers
But
leaves.
like, that's my point though. Like, we've spoken about this number of times on the podcast. Tony came over to my house one day before the game, and we talked about how we believed that we could win because of Cam Newton. And what I'm here to tell you is that that's what I want. there are quarterbacks in the
I
NFL
understand.
right now
It's a good
that
feeling.
their teams believe that about them. Justin Herbert's fans, Josh Allen's fans, Patrick Mahomes fans, Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson, whatever.
It's a
You know what I'm
good
saying?
feeling. It's a good
Yeah,
feeling.
it's a great feeling. We experienced it for a little while, and now we're just hoping that we can find some semblance of that feeling again.
All right, next call.
Yeah, it's me, C-Dog, man. I just woke up.
What up, C?
I've been going about an hour. But I just got a quick couple of comments. A lot of fans excited about this helmet. We know this new helmet, this all-black helmet that we're going to premiere on Thursday Night Football against the Falcons. Now, it was funny to me that everybody was so excited, like, yeah, I guess we're going to look good now. While we lose, we're going to look sexy.
Oh,
we're going to look
God.
real
He said while
sexy
we
and cool while we lose games this year.
I'm an icy
That's
That's what I
true,
got to
though,
say about that new helmet. Baker Mayfield is a motherfucking bum. I'm not going to change my goddamn thoughts on that until he go out here and show me otherwise. Until then, he's a fucking bum like goddamn Sam Darnold. Then you really think about it, man. Sam Darnold probably has a better arm than fucking Baker Mayfield, and he's bigger than Baker Mayfield, and probably stronger than Baker Mayfield. And I already know he's more mobile than Baker Mayfield.
No stat shows that.
Pussy.
But man, make sure you goddamn wipe. You got your motherfucking feet off when you come in this motherfucking goddamn chat, man. Make sure you goddamn wipe your motherfucking feet off on the motherfucking like button, and make sure you motherfucking subscribe.
Yeah.
And for all you motherfuckers who don't like me goddamn cussing all the goddamn time, man, hit the motherfucking like button and goddamn subscribe. And maybe I'll stop all the fucking F-bombs. Until then, hit the fucking like button, fucking subscribe, you fucking pussycats. Good night. Great show, fellas, as always.
See, dog, appreciate you, brother.
Subscriber shame, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Yo, C Dog is the look. A lot of times, like G Baby and C Dog might rub people the wrong way. Bro, I love passion. Those men, they love their football team, yo. So that's why I rock with them, man. We don't stifle opinions here on the Secret Podcast. And look, I said the same thing. I do think Sam has a better arm. I know the stats might not measure that out. I hear you, Bad Daddy. I'm just saying from a pure film perspective, watching the throw and the zip, I do think he does have a little more arm talent. But again, I know I'm probably splitting hairs here, but I agree, man. I think a lot of us are on to prove it.
It's the motion in the ocean. That's like saying this. It's just because you got the bigger, you know what, that you're better in you know where. And that's not the truth.
I need you to be more specific.
Yeah, say what?
I can't be more specific. We got children listening to this podcast, and I'm already hypersexual when it comes to all of my analogies. When it comes
Oh,
to
you're
football.
talking about that? Oh my gosh, Tony!
Hey,
jeez, Louise.
C Dog say it. Say it.
Yeah. Next
Hey guys, I'm a big fan of the show, and I just want to pose a question. A topic that I've been seeing a lot on Twitter, and Panthers Twitter, and that is, there's been so many people saying, oh, DJ's going to have a career year, and Robbie's going to bounce back, and CMC's going to bounce back, and Terrace Marshall Jr., and Tommy Tremble, they're all going to have breakout seasons with Baker at QB. And I mean, I get the excitement, but I kind of sit back and look, I'm like, when did Baker ever elevate any of those pass catching threats in Cleveland? Like, when did any of his guys ever have like a career year, or like go off, or like ball out?
Yeah.
Like, when did Odell ever do that? When did Jarvis Landry or Njoku, like, he just handed the ball off to Kareem Hunt and Chubb the whole time. So they're different running backs. But I think the point remains true. Like, for the pass catching guys, like, who did he ever elevate? Who ever thrived under Baker in Cleveland? So, I mean, that's just, that's just something I've noticed.
The fucking
I think it's a fair question to ask.
It don't mean
why so many Panthers fans are just assuming all of our skill position players, specifically the pass catching people, are going to have some tremendous year now we have Baker. So I appreciate it, guys, and keep pounding.
Oh, I so got this one.
Go.
Plenty
Njoku.
of applause for that man.
Njoku, rookie, when he comes in there. Okay, so yeah, he needs a tight end, not a wide receiver. So I mean, how many tight ends are breaking numbers like wide receivers are? Jarvis Landry was old, and Jarvis Landry has never been an elite receiver in the NFL. He's been an okay receiver. Odell Beckham was injured.
Pretty much every year.
And Baker Mayfield's numbers got significantly better when Odell
Because of
Beckham
Baker.
left. No, after Baker left. And I'm sorry, when your dad needs to call to get you, get on Twitter to
After
get you
Odell
to
left.
get traded, then I lose a little bit.
And I'm so tired of y'all draft fucking nerds saying Njoku is the exact thing I told y'all not to do. Don't draft a fucking tight end in the top 15, man, bro. Like, I'm not trying to shit on him as a talent entirely, but y'all act like he's a game changer. He's just all right.
Well, the part of it is like, the question is, when has he ever elevated the talent around him? I don't know that you can say that he has been the detriment of the talent around him, right? I don't think you could say that. Now, to be fair, and this is where the argument then lies, I think he elevated that wide receiver core more so than Sam Darnold ever has elevated any position groups on his team. So again, if we're talking about what's going to give us the best opportunity to win, it's Baker Mayfield. Like, that's just hands down. As far as any of the options that were available to us, Baker Mayfield provided the best opportunity.
All right, next call.
Yo, what's good, C3? It's JD 54.
JD,
I'm calling in not to really speak on the quarterback situation, but I was watching film on some of the guys who brought in the free agency, and if I'm remembering his name correctly, Corey Littleton. I think the linebacking play this season, the defense as a whole is going to look a hell of a lot better, but I think the linebacking play is going to be a lot better than people may be expecting it to be. In his film, in Littleton's film, when he was with the Rams, the things that I saw that he looked really good at doing, attacking the run, which is obviously something we haven't had from the middle linebacker. But in pass coverage, he plays similar to how Luke played. Like, multiple times, he bait a quarterback into throwing, and he step in front of him and pick it. But yeah, like him, I spoke on it last week about how I'm excited to see what Brandon Smith has. But yeah, I expect this defense to be a lot better against the run. There's still the question marks about the defensive end position. Is YGM going to take it? But I'm feeling very optimistic. Love to get you guys' opinions on it. But yeah, that's what I want to call in.
All right, this is a great time right here. If we got two more questions to power through and a couple more calls, is YGM a starter, right? Or is that like a second-year player, defensive end, suffered injuries? We have 5 questions facing the Carolina Panthers going into training camp. Is it YGM's moment to step into the starting role, or do we expect this to be a Marquise Haynes YGM rotational moment with the hope that we sign Carlos Dunlap is the name that a lot of people have wanted? What do you guys think? Because second year for defensive end is usually not their best. I've always said that defensive ends who are not freaky deaky like Julius Peppers or Jadeveon Clowney, it's year 3 that they come into being. Do you see Gross Matos actually taking the limelight, the spotlight from Terrace Marshall Jr., Cody?
I want to shout out Panther Pickle. He might not be listening still, but on the free-for-all yesterday, he made a comparison between YGM and Charles Johnson. And basically that Charles Johnson, his first 3 years, he was kind of in a rotation. He didn't really have that opportunity to be like the full-time starter right away. And he still did pretty good. And he was talking about how you could easily see YGM as on a similar trajectory to a Charles Johnson. I mean, similar builds, similar bodies, and they kind of had to play that rotation role. I'm very optimistic about YGM. I loved his film coming out of college, out of Penn State. I didn't like a lot of the technical part. I'm hoping that he's continued to build on that. But, I mean, that was the original dream, to have a really good bookend defensive end on the other side of Brian Burns. And I'm just hoping that he continues to get an opportunity to do so. Because I really do believe that ultimately the Panthers want to be a 4-3 defense. Some might say that we're better aligned or that we're better off being a 3-4 due to our personnel. But I really think that the Panthers want to be a 4-3, and having a really heavy, strong, powerful run stuffing defensive end, that's what we've been in need of. And frankly, I think that's why they were okay with letting Hassan Reddick walk out the door too, because they weren't those big, powerful edge setters. And YGM, he might not have proven that yet, but he does have the potential to be that kind of a player.
The problem with the Charles Johnson analogy is that he was playing one on the other side of Julius Peppers, who was the most dominant defensive end, right? So, but you could say this is that Brian Burns ain't no slouch. He certainly ain't no Julius Peppers, though. No. And then the other thing is year 3. This is my argument. The year 3 is big for this type of player. It was big for Charles Johnson, is exactly who I'm talking about. It was year 3 that he stepped into his own. We try to rush these defensive ends a little bit much in the NFL currently. And I hope he can step into that role. I really do. But remember what happened? Coney Ely almost won the fucking MVP of the Super Bowl as a rookie and is not playing in the league anymore. I don't know if he's going to be a starter by the end of the year. I hope he is. If he is, that means he's healthy and he has been what we thought he could be. All right, next call.
Hey, what's up,
Only
C3? Appreciate everything y'all do. This is the man that was here,
somebody else,
aka the Real AP. Thanks for having me on a couple of weeks ago, Cody. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
This is a make it or break it season. I don't give a shit what's going on. For fans, for players, everybody, coaching staff, the urgency button has been hit. Maybe the panic, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what's going to come out of this, man, but Sam, Baker, PJ, it doesn't matter. And I'll keep preaching it and I'll die on this hill, man, till that O-line gets fixed. And I don't care who you put back there. Ain't nothing going to happen. Nothing. And I'm just being real with it. I appreciate everything y'all do. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Keep pounding. Appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, good. Look, again, there are reasons to be optimistic about this team, and I feel like every year we feel that way. We all feel
bottom. Oh my God, you're Baker Bottom optimism.
Shut up, dude. I'm just saying we have good players. We do every year, and it just seems like there's something that happens, like a large hole opens up, and everything just vortexes around this big hole. For the past few years, it's been the offensive line quite literally making big holes for defenders to run through. So, I mean, I don't know. It's
What's the vortex this year beyond quarterback? It's probably linebacker, man. No, beyond quarterback.
Linebacker. Linebacker is still something I think we're all concerned about.
We need
just because we don't know. We don't know. We don't know about Littleton. We don't know if Brandon
about the cat killer.
Yeah, we just don't know, man. We don't know what we don't know.
Still the best story. Still the best story, folks. If you don't know this, what's the guy's name? The other linebacker, not Littleton. He came from Dallas. He fake killed the cat. I mean, it's like a fucking phenomenal
I know who you're talking about. I
story.
can't remember his name.
But he fake killed the cat, like where he was getting a fight with his girlfriend, and he wrapped her laptop up in a blanket and smashed it on the ground and told her it was the cat. Like he was like, and I will smash Speckles or Sparkles or whatever. She's over there crying. thinking the cat's brains got bashed out, and she was like, "Fuck, even worse, my laptop just got." Oh, that's messed up. All right, next call. Two more. I think this is.
God damn, what it do, boys? It's your boy Mike, aka Supreme Lead Time.
What's up?
Oh man, it's been a minute, boys. I'm sitting here drinking my mega pint right now, chilling.
Oh, shit.
And I got to the podcast late, and I'm just trying to know when is the Fan Fest meetup? I think it's going to be before or after or during August 11th. Let me know, boys.
Gotta do it before.
Trying to roll through and
shit.
bring my mega pint cup and get litty with y'all boys.
Hey.
Let me see. Baker Mayfield, blah 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 blah. Matt Rule, blah 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 blah. Look, I watched the podcast last week, and it's like Cody against the world. Cody was like Thanos, and then you guys were like Iron Man, Thor, and fucking Captain America.
I need you to specify who's who. That's important for my standing.
Try to make it through.
Want to be?
Whatever happens, we're gonna keep fucking pounding. So let's fucking go. Panther Pride till I die. What's up with the Fan Fest, motherfuckers? Keep pounding.
Would you rather be Captain America, Aquaman, or Thor?
Thor, 100%.
Oh, Greg and you are fighting over it.
Bad Daddy's got the hammer though, so he gets to call dibs on Thor. I feel like.
Why ain't Captain America just too goody two shoes for anybody?
Oh, he'd be badass. Don't get me wrong. Captain America, the movie Captain America, would be Steve Roth
the only issue I have with Captain America is he is the exact same human being that the Nazis were trying to create. So, like,
we wish you're actually Captain Germany,
right? He is
you're
like
Captain
honestly,
Nazi. Oh, that's funny.
Like he's just everything that they wanted. So I have a hard time like being rooting for that. But yeah, I mean, it's.
Would you? All right. What about just the actor themselves, not the superhero? But because I think of it as Jason Momoa. Would I rather be Jason Momoa?
Oh God, Jason Momoa. Out of all three, yeah.
Who plays Thor?
Right.
I think I'm going to be Aquaman, and I can't swim that well.
Dude, I'm basically like a handicapped Jason Momoa. I'm the next best thing.
No, you're Thanos.
I mean, yeah, dude.
You're Thanos. Don't forget, we're all fighting you, bro.
Y'all are crossing streams.
Who's Iron Man?
Hey, don't worry. I'm just taking on three at the same time.
Oh,
I'll be Iron Man. I'm good with that.
I do want to say that we will indeed be at Fan Fest.
Yes.
At least three of the four boys will be. Tony,
I won't be there.
Tony thinks it's important
Dominican Republic. Sorry.
Tony thinks it's important to like have a life and like do shit with your family. What a weirdo, right? But yeah, your boys will be at Fan Fest, and come say hi, man. Yeah, we'll be hanging out. You'll be seeing us around there.
I think we need to plan a little bit more. The question really boils down to what's the plans, and I don't know if Greg sounds like he has to be at work the next day, so I'm not sure if a brunch the following day would work. But
I did have to be at work the next day, but I was going to say I just scheduled a doctor's appointment in Salisbury, so I'd have a legitimate excuse to take a sick day that day to drive down to Salisbury, and then from Salisbury, hop, skip, and jump down to Charlotte. So there you go.
Snap.
I have legitimate.
All right, so before, during, and after is the answer to that question. The last call of the night, right here, and we have two questions left to get to, and that is who's going to start at guard, and is Christian McCaffrey overrated? We got to get to him. We prepped for it. We put the time into it. Last call of the night.
Hey guys, this is Jedi George. It's been a minute since I called in.
Jedi, what's up?
It's probably the end of the show, so I don't know if you guys will get to me. But basically, over the past few months, being a Charlotte sports fan between the Panthers and the Hornets has been one hell of a shit show. I've been trying to figure out what my feelings are on this Panthers team, and I really can't, put my finger on it. One day I feel like, maybe we can shock the world and win 10 games. And other days I feel like it's just another 5-win season again. And
you're right, both of those days. You're right.
I don't even know what
days.
exactly I want out of this Panthers team because honestly, I don't have any faith in Matt Rule. I mean, I feel like some people feel like, hey, let's see what he has. But after 2 years, there's literally nothing that inspires me about Matt Rule. Like, at least with Rivera, after, the first 2 years of not very good record-wise seasons, like, we saw the buildings of something special at the end of that second season. And it was like, all right, if we can get this team, for a whole season, we might have something. And it culminated in the 2015 Super Bowl run. So I just don't have any of that kind of feeling with this team. Like, I don't know what our direction is. I don't know what brings this team together as a team. It's just a bunch of guys who are really talented playing football. And as far as Sam Darnold goes, pretty much all the way out on him as everybody else is. And, I think Baker could come in and help, but we don't even have a guarantee if, Matt Rule, not the fool again, if he's even going to play Baker, because it looks like it's going to be an open competition. And depending on, what dirt Sam Darnold has on Matt Rule, he might get the nod week 1 and, who knows. But anyway, that's just my venting.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Jenna Jordan. A lot of good comments there. And Dog, you guilted me into it. The second call. It's there. I see it.
And one more thing, real quick, with me, Dog, calling in one more time. Make sure you hit this motherfucking like button and make sure you motherfucking subscribe.
He's like, I'm just giving you an advertisement, bro.
God, what was I going to say? I haven't heard anybody say anything about it, but the guy that was over Tepper Sports has resigned today. My personal opinion is because of the what happened at Rock Hill, and he's been dealing with stuff like that ever since the Steelers. So him cutting ties with David Tepper is just letting you know that he doesn't feel like David Tepper is handling business properly or in the business manner and everything. But I haven't heard anybody, no other Panther podcast really talk about it, but the head guy over Tepper Sports Management and everything resigned today. And it has to have something to do with Rock Hill. The Rock Hill, you know what I'm saying? Debacle. But besides that, great show again, like always. Make sure you hit the motherfucking like button. Make sure you motherfucking subscribe. Great show, fellas. Everybody have a goddamn great fucking night.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Steve.
Great supporter of the show. Love that. And I'm glad that you reminded me to play the call. He's referring to Mark Hart. Kenneth Panther Pickle sent this to us on Twitter. Mark Hart, Chief Operating Officer of Tepper Sports and Entertainment, is the third high-ranking official to resign. Panthers spokesman concerned Hart had been with David Tepper since 2018. I think the easy analysis here is to just go, things aren't working and things are going bad, so people are quitting. But I try to remind myself that Tepper is part of this like high pressure, high intensity. I just started watching the show Billions. I mean, not just this show's been out forever. It's got 6 seasons. I've tried watching it twice, but I'm back at it again. And it's about a hedge fund manager. Might as well be like a better looking hypersexual David Tepper. You know what I'm saying? It's just like this guy that's just manipulating everything, can fucking do whatever. He's got the fucking fuck you money, as they use it. And it just feels like that's kind of part of that game. The high intensity, people are there. They go on to other opportunities. I don't know if it necessarily means everything's bad. I almost wonder if that is his stock market hedge fund attitude to where it is like we push you to the brink, and that's the whole goal, is to get you to quit in 3 years. People say working for Amazon is like ridiculously exhausting and stressful. And I don't know if it just means things are bad or if it's just the work type environment.
Dude, it's like, it's a trend. It's a real trend now. It's not something that we can like just kind of poo-poo and push to the side. I mean, this is, it's a real trend. A lot of this, I wonder, is just how much is it David Tepper being new to sports? I mean, yeah, I know he was a part owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I think having this level of control in the organization, even still, is not necessarily something that he's used to. And he's still having to get used to the day-to-day processes of all this. And I think he's still trying to learn what kind of culture and what kind of organization he's truly trying to build. So I don't know, man. Like, it could be some sign of, I don't know, a toxic work environment or all these number of things that we could speculate on.
Or just high pressure.
But I'm willing to think a part of it is probably just that pressure and just a lot of people not really knowing the best way to go about doing things.
And we don't know if they just got they could have had another opportunity too. But you're right. I mean, there are.
True.
It's
You
like
never know
where there's smoke, there's often fire. Let's go to the final question of 5 questions facing the Carolina Panthers going to training camp. We got to know we don't know what this offensive line is going to look like. And I don't think we're going to answer it here with this question, but this is on our mind as we watch training camp unfold, is who are the guys that are taking the reps and where. We draft Akim Ekwonu at what, 6? Where were we, 6 or 8? Whatever we were at this year. Top
6.
Yeah. He's seen to be as just a great kind of like the black helmet for the Carolina Panthers is like just a 98% approval rating for everybody. It's like Akim Ekwonu is like, who's nobody's over here talking bad about it. The analysts, the fans. You want to see him start at left tackle, but there's been, you got Brady Christensen potentially. We might see Akim Ekwonu play a year at guard and Brady Christensen at left tackle, and we might see them go vice versa. But you're kind of looking at the left guard and the right guard positions as being very telling of what this offensive line will look like. And what I mean by that is, first, you can look at, like I said, that left side with Ekwonu and Brady Christensen, but you're also looking at Austin Corbett, Bozeman. Where are they truly playing? So I think this is a question we will be looking at, is less like, if I was advising someone how to get the most out of this training camp, the most intel, it would not be to look at who's playing tackle, but more interestingly, who is playing guard at both sides. I think that gives us more intel, and that's all I got to say on it.
Yeah, I mean, do one of y'all want to jump in on this first? I kind of feel like I've gone in on this. Yeah.
I think it's more about not the answer to the question, but don't you think this is a question to look at? Like, that's kind of what we've been looking at.
I want it to be like, pardon me, CK. Here, CK, go first and then I'll go after you.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, ultimately, this is just saying, this is one of the questions I think we all want to have answered pretty early on in this training camp, right? We don't want to constantly go all the way until that first week and not really know what we have as an offense. If it gets to the week 1 and we don't know, like there's that much uncertainty, my confidence for this O-line goes down tremendously. So the training camp has to open up, like has to answer that more definitively than what I feel like we've gotten with a lot of the questions when we go into training camp. We don't know until literally the final cuts about who is going to be where and who's going to be considered what position starting, whether they're just going to be a second string or what. We've had that happen too often over the past couple of years, and oftentimes it's on a position group of weakness, and it just continues. Like if we can know going into it, like if we see Icky is starting at left tackle every single time Brady Christensen's going over to left guard, then I mean, I'm fine with us being able to push forward with that being our lineup. But if it's constantly like we're going to start Brady at left tackle and then Icky at left guard, and then we're moving Icky to right guard, which would be stupid. But let's say we make that decision,
Right.
we're moving him over to this, we're doing all like it's just this merry-go-round. I don't think any of us want to have to go on. Put them somewhere that you feel like they're going to stick. Figure it out early on and let them get the reps in instead of having to worry about whether or not they need to, they're going to be good over here or better over here. Put them somewhere, get the reps in so that at the beginning of the season, they're prepared and ready to go.
Agreed.
Yeah, I wish that there was something of a competition. I don't even mean like competition. I just wish that there was maybe a little more experimentation, just because I do think that the left tackle and left guard could be a little more interchangeable. I don't necessarily love Brady Christensen playing at guard. So part of me felt like if he was best suited as a tackle, hey, I love putting a Kim Aquanu at guard. I'm not one of these people that inherently views left tackle, or rather left guard, as inherently less valuable than left tackle, even though that's kind of like the common knowledge. I don't know, man. I just think if you want to be a run-first football team, having nasty guard play is essential. And I think that Ikem Aquanu would be able to be incredible at that downhill thumping guard that would just absolutely be destroying linebackers on the second level. And you would let that man right there, Christian McCaffrey, run behind him. So, and by the way, when I even mentioned this on Twitter, people get all bent out of shape. Like I'm saying that Kim Aquanu can't play left tackle. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if we want to run the football, do it behind Kim Aquanu and do it at guard. But I do think that Kim Aquanu is going to be the left tackle, and I think they've already penciled that in.
All right, final segment. Well, we got two little bits we got to do. We did this prep. I'm committed to it. If you got to go, you got to go. But we got to get these ice up picks in. We always finish with ice up picks. But I wanted to do this. I asked Greg, the stat daddy, the bat daddy. I'm interested in this question right here, Greg, is that people, and I got to get the right layout, which this is where we don't.
I think the way you just had it was better, the best, yeah. With all of us vertically on the side.
No,
All right.
right
So,
here.
take the comments down. No comments during this segment. No comments because we got to see Greg while he's talking this. I saw this thing is that somebody said that Christian McCaffrey was the second most overrated player in football. And I thought it's a bit on NFL Network. Like this is what you do in the off season,
right?
But is that what? Yeah, I mean, it just kind of is like what you have to talk about at this point. But is Christian McCaffrey? Who is Christian McCaffrey? We had this discussion a little bit about the kids' gloves versus, just throwing them out there. What do we? Is he overrated, underrated, or just rated?
I think that it was Chris Canty, I believe, was the person who said it. I believe they just misused the word overrated. What I think happened is he drafted him for his fantasy team last year and he got injured. So he was planning on Christian McCaffrey just tearing up the fantasy league.
It happens.
I have too. But what I'm saying is he misused the word. Overrated is not what Christian McCaffrey is. Like I said, we'll go through these stats and you'll see he, even with the time missed, is one of the best weapons in the NFL, period. I think maybe injury prone, maybe unreliable.
Right.
More
unreliable than injury prone. Okay.
Yeah. Overrated is the wrong word. When he's on the field, he is easily the top 3 lethal weapon in the NFL offensively.
I agree with that. But again, I have even the unreliable aspect of it. I think there's just a large portion of this that's a bit misleading. I do believe he's been injured. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the majority of his games that he has missed has been because there's no point to put him back in the game.
Amen. I say to you.
And so even with that, the availability aspect of it is a big question mark. Has he been hurt? Yes, he has. Has he been hurt to where he can't play? Maybe a couple of games.
Yeah.
But for the most part, no, I don't think so. I think
they
that,
put him on that pup list or the IR, right? And it was just like,
remember
should we-
Teddy's year. Teddy's year, CMC actually expressed frustration in the middle of the year because he felt like he could go. He felt like he could play. And then it's, they didn't put him back in. And it was because we were in a lost season, right? And I think that there was already at that point in time, there was concerns about overusing Christian McCaffrey inherently at that point anyway, right? We've already had that conversation. And because of that, there's probably going to be a little bit of fear involved with putting him back into the game, with that being, really a purposeless, movement. I think when you look at these numbers, I don't think he's overrated at all. I think right now, if anything, I wouldn't say he's underrated because he is still listed as number 2 on most draft boards, right? Like just behind Jonathan Taylor. And so I don't know if you could technically say he's underrated, but I think he is valued appropriately in fantasy circles. But from media talking heads, I think he's underrated.
So that you can say you could be overwhelming, underwhelming, or whelming. He's whelming at this point. Greg, tell us really quickly about the stats, what we should think about who Christian McCaffrey is as a player.
Well, like I was saying earlier, we've got this one right here with just his career stats, and just looking at them alone through 58 games, a 4.6 average for running back is something you would love to have in a running back. So people who say he can't run between the tackles, people who say he can't run between the tackles, that's a pretty damn good average. 30 rushing touchdowns as a running back through 58 games is a pretty damn good average. I mean, 3,500 yards. I mean, these numbers are amazing that he's putting up. So there's nothing you can look at statistically.
The receptions are just insane.
Insane.
We can talk about.
I tried to look up bad stats for Christian McCaffrey to be able to juxtapose them next to these good stats, and I couldn't find them. There are no bad stats for Christian McCaffrey
other than missed games.
Other than injury. Yeah. This right here is just, I went back to 2017 when he was drafted. So I just did everything from 2017 up to this point. And this is with him missing the games and other running backs being involved in the games. He is still first in reception or receiving yards per game at 52. He's second in targets at 438. He's second in receptions. This is among running backs. Second is in receptions in 357. Still 15 games behind people. He's second in receiving yards in 3,015, 15 games behind people. 8th in yards per carry, 12th in rushing yards, which you haven't played 50. You played 15 less games than everybody else, and you're still top 15 in rushing yards. Don't tell me the guy can't run. 14th in rushing touchdowns and 14th in attempts. So he's top 15 in every stat, playing 15 less games than everybody else has. Oh, and receptions, by the way, he is 19th overall in the NFL, not just running backs,
not just everybody.
Yeah, of everybody, and that's missing 15 games. 10th total in touchdowns.
That's why he's a fantasy monster, man.
It's insane, man.
This is the year of Christian McCaffrey, and what I mean by that is either the year he is or he isn't, because he's had 2 great years and 2 years that have been hobbled that have been absentee. This is the year. This is the year that kind of tilts the scale a little bit on the narrative of, is Christian McCaffrey underrated, overrated, or rated? And then you'll have to go to the next year and the next year. But if he gets hurt this year, then more credence lends to the
injury bug.
Overrated, hurt, injury prone. If he has a great year this year, people are going to forget about that. All right. And it's a recency bias. So fantastic stuff. Thanks for the stat daddy, the bat daddy, putting that together. Cody Lashney, can we ice some fools up, please, and get towards the end of this show? I said we're going to keep it tight. These callers, they keep calling. We keep talking. We keep arguing.
Anytime you say we're going to keep it tight, I'm like, better buckle in for a long one, boy.
We still did. I felt like we were
We're an hour shorter than last week right now.
We're still, hold on. Let's think about this. We're still in the off season. There's been no new news this past week. We went 3 hours. Imagine what the fuck this is going to look like during the season.
We're gonna have to take naps and shit.
C3
I'm gonna have to
podcast goes all
put
night
PTO
long.
in every Wednesday morning. Like
I
I'm gonna have to
know.
be
I'm gonna
like
have to get we're gonna have to do cocaine and drugs to stay up.
Hey, worth it. Let's do some fucking ice up, boys.
It's that time to ice up to. Or it's the longest running segment actually on the show. Like it's one that we've done for. It goes back. This goes back to
since he said it, basically, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is that was that 2013 maybe or 2013? Steve Smith Monday night victory over Tom Brady. Talib, not Talib. I always call him Talib Kweli. Aqib Talib, whatever the fuck his name is. Talib Kweli's the rapper, and he's great. He hangs out with most deaf. But
hey, also, I just
we
want
tell
to say,
somebody ice up, tough
I
up.
did want to say before we go further, shout out to the Bat Daddy for all the cool graphics and bumpers and intros that we've been using tonight. If you like the new intro, like the ice up, the cat calls, Greg's been putting in work, man, making some really cool
That's
shit.
the Bat Daddy.
Shout out to the Bat Daddy, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Making the show look nice. Love that. Love that.
This is the
do
point
any of
where
y'all
we
wanna
tell
go
them to
first?
ice up, toughen up to get together. Everybody, if you're not familiar with this segment, everyone is fair game. This is where not the one time in the show, but the time that we dedicate where it doesn't even have to be about football. It can be about life. We're going to, our homage to Steve Smith is to tell someone to ice up, toughen up, get it together. Who wants to do it first?
I'll get mine out of the way. It's real quick and it's low hanging fruit. Just what we were just talking about. I was going to go with Canty just for the misuse of the word overrated and just coming out there and saying this at all. Like, this is a person who's scorned from fantasy football. That's the only reason you can look at Christian McCaffrey and not think he's one of the most amazing offensive weapons in the NFL. When you watch him play or you look at his stats, there is nothing about Christian McCaffrey that's bad, minus the injuries. But that doesn't rate to overrated. So for that, ice up.
Like it. Do you guys remember did I ice up last week? Does anybody, first of all, we went 4 hours, so late. Was it this plane with these people jumping out? I don't want to.
Yeah.
We did that. Okay. Well, then I've got the dual ice up pick again tonight, which I had the plain one still locked and loaded. One is this, and I want to shout out at Salesman. You can find at 95. Actually, it's at 95. Keep pounding. Salesman. He's like a brother from another mother in so many ways to me when on Twitter. I saw this one. He put this tweet up, and this is my first one. And hold on, here we go. Let me see this. Let me see this. All right, these kids on this boat doing this. So this kid tries to load up the boat on autopilot.
Oh my gosh.
And
so
he finds a
stupid.
good space to, I guess, go straight while his buddy is. So he then falls and busts. And then this guy tries to get up into the boat to take
he
over
falls.
and then this boat just continues to go. That's my first one. My second one. So ice up to these morons.
Oh my!
I mean,
God.
just straight.
What was the end of that
morons.
looking like? Did it run into something?
They don't show that part because it's just on a GoPro. My other one is on AOC, and I don't want to be overly political, and I don't even really care about y'all's feelings about the Roe v. Wade shit.
Did you say AOC?
Yeah.
I
didn't steal it. I'm going a different way on this one, so you can still have yours. Because I laughed at the big booty joint. Like, I laughed. I ain't gonna lie.
That wasn't even what I was.
So she goes, oh, the state police should have arrested this dude. That's what, or the Capitol Police don't protect us. That's what she said after the guy was like, oh, look at that I laughed. When he said hot tamale, I went nuts. I was like, all right, that was funny.
Dude,
Rude.
People are already memeing the clip of her She's like, look at that booty. Look at that.
Oh, it's the
big,
best.
juicy
You are
booty."
people. You are
Yeah,
not
me,
people.
dude. I love that type of shit.
They staged a protest, or not staged. That makes it sound like it was a fake. There was a protest on the Supreme Court steps today against the Roe versus Wade. Obviously, AOC, very Democratic, heavy, opposite to this. And I don't care what y'all feel about it. I'm not even going to have my opinion on any of it. But so she gets arrested. So I got the dual ice up pick on this because she gets arrested and her Twitter. So they're carrying her out and she has her arms fake behind her.
Yeah, she's not even handcuffed.
She's not cuffed. She's not cuffed. And at one point, she raises her arm up like fight the man.
By the way, a huge smile on her face.
No, and so you know what? I mean, that's what it was supposed to be. It was meant to be this photo op. It was all of that. But the fact that she had her hands behind her back like she was handcuffed and she wasn't handcuffed, she probably it almost makes me feel like, you know, when we teach about Martin Luther King and he writes the letter from a Birmingham jail. And what if he wasn't in prison? Like if he was just like in his bedroom, like that's kind of like, it's like she wrote the letter from a capital city jail cell and she was just in her office, but she raises her hand. And then my second ice up to her is that somebody posted, I guess, was managing her Twitter, and on her Twitter account says AOC was arrested. It's like, first, I said, you need to stack an extra charge against this girl for talking about herself in the third person. And I know that she didn't write it. And I don't even really have a problem with the protest. I don't have a problem with them. But the fake arms behind the back gets the ice up.
So, dude, we're going to tag team on this one because it was my ice up. And my thing is this. This is so performative. This is done purely for the performance of it all. By the way, who are you protesting? Aren't you a fucking congresswoman? Like, you're literally the people that you're protesting to change shit. It's so asinine, dude. And another thing that really fucking pisses me off about this is it's so easy for her to do this. But when real protesters get arrested and they have to post bail and deal with like exciting a riot and bullshit like that, they don't get off with a slap on the hand and a fucking photo op, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez used to do.
Yeah,
and
I'm going to put up this other view while you're talking about it.
I used to like her, man. Like, I used to be a fan that she was a bartender. She worked her way up. She was progressive. I was into her. But, dude, more and more, not only is she more and more a part of the Democratic elite, but it's stuff like this. It's like, dude, are you actually fighting for progressive causes, or are you just the new pretty face of the progressive movement? Because in these past few years, it seems like the latter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all for protesting, but it's so easy for her to do this while normal people, this is a big deal if they get arrested for some shit like this. So
right.
It's embarrassing.
It irritates me because it just shows the inequality of what is actually happening there, right? Like she's created this environment where she looks like she's this incredible martyr, right? Which, again, whatever purpose you have, I have very little say or opinion on the matter of what they're dealing with, right? I don't think I have a right to say what my opinion is anyway, because it doesn't really affect me. So, but outside of that, like it is an interesting thought to have the politician do the things that normal human beings cannot do without having some sort of a lengthy criminal record potentially. And to get it, I was thinking about it today when I heard about it. I'm like, I guarantee you, she just walks away with nothing.
Oh, yeah. Nothing. Does she have white privilege? Oh,
she has political privilege.
How terrible.
How about this? She has pretty privilege. I think.
Sexy privilege.
She has. I think she has
that video of that guy going, "Oh, look at your sexy." I laughed.
Dude, that was hilarious.
I laughed. I'm
I know.
sorry. I
If
know
you
it's
don't laugh-
disrespectful. You should not. Like it is. Like, but that also is our world.
Please go watch the new Bill Burr special on Netflix. Please, 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 because this guy says everything in life that I just. It's so funny.
All right, CK, you got ice up for us.
Do you? I can't remember if I had done this one yet. Did I do one that was like talking about the new law in Virginia about unsolicited sexual pictures?
No, I don't think we've heard that one.
So yeah, there is a new law in Virginia that just recently passed that makes it a suable offense to send dick pics to people. You know, you could be female or males. I mean, sexual content, right?
Right.
Through electronic means, so text message, things like that. It's now something that
they call it the Brett Favre law.
Right. You can sue now if you get an unsolicited picture for at least $500, at most $500, I should say. And so, like, I just want to, I know this is going to be a simple and easy one. I'm just going to say ice up to all those guys who live in the world of just providing the pictures of their dicks to random women unsolicited, because you guys are going to be having to pay for that content now. So ice up, boys. Ice up.
We had to actually show them to girls.
That's the Brett Favre law, man. Brett Favre, when he was a quarterback of the Jets, sent a dick pic to a Jets reporter, and it was awesome. And you know what? It's like there's their white privilege.
There you go.
Went on and then that. But guess what? Deshaun Watson got dick privilege too, so it's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right, that's the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Don't send your dick pics unless you're ready to get sued.
Especially if you're in Virginia.
Yes. And don't send them to us. But you know what you can send us? Thumbs up, a subscribe, a like, a share, a call at 252-228-5098, 5098. And if you're so generous, there's ways to donate to the podcast via PayPal, Cash App, and Super Chats. My name's Tony Dunn. Follow me at cat_chronicles. Cody Lash, the man with more teeth today than probably today.
Yeah, really, than today, than the next few hours. Yeah, man, find me on Twitter, starting shit with people like I'm ought to do, at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. I'm still doing stuff for Draft Tech, but it's the down season right now. Well, that doesn't really start to pick up until it starts to get to be the end of the season. But if you would like to join this show, you can do it on Friday. In fact, every Friday at 7 p.m. for the C3 Friday Free for All. That's where you get to join the show, be a part of the action, join the show via StreamYard, and you can come in and have a great conversation. Yeah, the Friday Free My Balls.
There's been a couple of people. In fact, Cody Lashley was a lobbyist for this Virginia law as Green Man.
Dude, every Friday is a game of, is somebody going to get their dick past Cody? And I mean, I'm literally out
that
here
needs to be the name of the show.
He's on edge the whole time.
Dude, I'm literally out here.
Touch him on the shoulder. Somebody comes up and puts their hand on their shoulder, like, "Hey, Cody, it's about." He's like, "Oh shit, take on my shoulder."
But the funny thing is the guys could just sit in the waiting room just with their dicks out, and Cody has to see it.
Yeah, dude, sometimes I wonder if other people notice that there's hardcore porn in the background and no one knows about it other than the people that are just in the StreamYard. Dude, it's crazy. I've been batting pretty damn good lately though. No dicks.
Oh yeah.
So I highly suggest everybody come be a part of the Friday Free for All. Dude, I'm an expert. I'm an expert cock blocker now. Okay. So come to the show. It's gonna be a good time. And the C3 Friday Free My Balls, dude. Come hang out.
All right. Or restrain them balls. CK, how can they find you?
You can find me at Codizzle Allen on most social media platforms, the TikTokies, the Twitters, the Twitches, the Facebooks, the YouTubes, all those locations, but primarily here on the C3 Panthers podcast. Like I said, we'll be seeing you guys next week I don't think there's going to be any training camp by the time we have it. It'll just be the arrivals.
No, Tuesday will be our final preview. We're going to have tomorrow night. Gosh, why is my name like all of a sudden Schuler Callahan?
Yeah,
Schuler Callahan from SI. But yeah, we're like, yeah, tomorrow, like we'll be actually at this rate, we'll still be streaming when they start practice from Tuesday to Wednesday. So yeah, we'll check you guys out then. The stat baddie, the bat daddy, the man with the graphic eye. How can I get after you?
You can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter is my personal handle, or check out my show live on Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse. We talk about all kinds of streaming content, books, independent creators come on and talk about other content. It's a fun time.
Fantastic. Nerd out on Friday nights. I do. And we all want to know how anybody's ever going to top the show, The Boys. It's like probably, I mean, that's like the dick pic of
House of the Dragon next month.
All right, we'll see.
I
I know, I feel like the Lord of the Rings people, if Amazon didn't have The Boys, they would be pissed because they're put $1 billion into the Lord of the Rings show is about to come out. They paid $1 billion. I think it was $1 billion for the rights to that shit.
Dude,
that shit better be awesome.
Amazon is putting out some really good stuff, dude. If you haven't checked out Terminal List, if you haven't,
I like
out,
it. It got
Reacher,
bad reviews. It gets great towards the end.
Great.
Well, the thing is,
Reacher
it
and
got
Terminal
bad
List.
reviews for the stupidest reasons. I was reading it's not woke enough, essentially.
I thought the storyline got good in the last 3-4 episodes. You know what I'm saying? Like I could see where they were talking about shoot 'em up, just type thing in the beginning. But yeah, Amazon. That's what happens when you have a bazillion.
Yeah, but dude, I'm pumped for the House of the Dragon, dude. All
right, we'll see. It's you know what, it's gonna be tough because your show, what was it? The
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's just hard to live up. Like what you know what I'm saying? It's like this is like it's gonna be like it will, even if it's very, very good, it's still gonna be difficult to impress.
Yeah, and it's gonna have a different feel to it. It's like the Targaryens at the height of their power.
Everything is about casting. That's what it's about. Is
and I do think that they do have a good cast.
If you make a show about the storyline, it can only keep you involved for so long.
Yeah.
You get tired, right? But when you become invested in the cast, the character development, not the cast, but characters, then it can go on forever. You just want to know about them. So anyway, that's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Tonight, Beat Check at 8 p.m. Friday, free for all. And a lot more to come. Take us out of here, Cody.
C3 Panther Nation. Until next time, keep pounding.